What is up, wrestling fans? Fuck this event. I shouldn't have started off with a curse. That helps my ad rate, doesn't it? I'm Tony Mango, joined by Robert E. Felice.
Hi.
And Callum Wiggins.
Yeah.
And this is the WrestleMania 39 Night 2 post-show, a.k.a. we're going to copy what we did before with that one crown jewel. This is the WrestleMania 39 Night 2 sucked post-show. Ah, man.
I don't want to do any plugs. We can do that later. I want to dive right into this. That was the fucking worst call I've ever seen in my life. Sorry about your ad rate. That was the worst call.
I already ruined it by saying it at the beginning of this. This is, fuck this event, man. Oh, come on. You guys know we had such positive things to say about last night's WrestleMania, the first half, night one. And here we are. We're starting off the way that we are with this.
1,000 days doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't.
All right. Look, I don't care. You know, LOL, they got the marks. LOL, haha. You validate everybody that has zero faith in this company when you do moves like this. I wish I could say I was doing a bit. I wish I could say we were all doing a bit. I'm legitimately stunned that they didn't go for the fucking happy ending. I'm so good.
We just got a super chat from Marco, $25. Thank you, Marco, saying, "Don't worry about the ads. Please curse all you need."
This is it's ridiculous. Like, listen, this is a company that is known for making bad decisions in terms of booking sometimes, and it's the ultimate layup, the easiest decision you could ever get. And it's not like a case like I'm just shocked. I am shocked because like it's too easy. It's almost too easy to do that, to give Cody the victory. It's almost, and again, no, we'll probably dive into conspiracies or anything like that. But it's just like
I got a major one after this one.
Yeah, he's the other company's guy, so he can't be our champion, and that's just fucking.
Nope.
Whatever their rationale behind it, it's fucking stupid, and it doesn't matter. It's
legitimately 1,000 days.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's something else. We're gonna get into that.
I think it's two things. I think it's
I think it's something else.
Let's just talk about it. I think it's 1,000 days, and I think beat him at the Garden where his daddy wanted to beat him.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's Endeavor is like, why don't you keep the Roman Reigns thing going on? Don't you got something
Endeavor
here?
Just looked at it and said, like, hey,
that's right. You guys talk about that
Roman's
too.
The guy. We want Roman to go.
Because maybe within 12 hours of this podcast being done, we might get an official announcement about the reported by CNBC Endeavor sale to WWE going to Endeavor. And I was fully prepared to talk about Cody Rhodes as champion. Yay, but let's move on from that because Endeavor's buying WWE, rumored. But right now, all I want to do is talk about how legitimately painful it is that you can't even. Why can't the good guy just win?
Well, it's not even like that. That would be the thing if it wasn't something that had already been built up for 3 years. Like, this was the story. Everything was working in this direction, and they still decided. Also, on top of that, and we're going to get into everything. I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the to the live chat. I'm sorry that I'm ignoring giving everybody shout outs quite yet. This was a shit pay-per-view.
Yeah, this was awful. And now it's like there's nothing to say of it.
And now it could have been the type of thing where if this would have ended the way that it should have ended, that I think everybody in the fucking world thinks should have ended it this way. It ends the total opposite way. And now we're going from last night being arguably what's going to be the best pay-per-view of the year to this being not just the worst pay-per-view of the year, but you just fucked over the Cody thing. You've just hurt the Roman thing. Because now you're going to get a reaction of, oh, never mind. We actually don't really want to see this going forward because this wasn't anything different from what we got with Brock. It's not like, oh, great story, but it's all leading to this thing that works. What possible good story can you tell out of this now? Oh, he got a rematch at Backlash, and then he went, no, who fucking cares?
It's the second Roman Brock match where it's like, okay, they both beat Undertaker, just do the damn thing, and they had to carry it out till SummerSlam because it was too predictable. I'm gonna err on the safe side and say maybe Endeavor doesn't have anything to do with this one just yet. Maybe it's just it was too predictable. Not here, not yet. Make him want it a little bit more. You know, Dusty never beat Ric Flair. Here's the difference. We're not on a live event model where it's like, come to Charlotte and see Dusty get his revenge. That's okay, come next week. No. It's fucking WrestleMania. Happy ending. And not only that,
you don't have to do a happy ending for every Mania and every match and everything, but after so many years at this point of WWE setting themselves up for people to be upset with the way that the product is, they have to know by now that they need to do some shit every once in a while to make people happy. And like, yup, they have something like what happened last night, but that goes to show you right there, you know what people want. And instead, either you did it for the swerve, for the gotcha, for the troll aspect of it, or you're delusional enough to think that, hey, if we come back to this again fucking next year or something, then that'll be worth it even more. Very quickly, let me go through a couple people in the chat here. I see Peter, I see Marco, I see Adam, Emilio, Gus 5, Daniel, Frankie, Brandon. We got Dane, we got Ted, we got Keelan, we got I might be missing some people. We got Michael, we got Josh, we got Dionysios, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We got Cal, Marquise in the chat as well, popping up for the super chats. Thank you, Marquise. Thank you, Dane, as well, for this. Let me read these out real quick. They really had me going there. I don't like people playing with my emotions. I think this is leading to the titles being split and Cody getting the WWE Championship. Oh, if they fucking try that, where it's like, oh, well, you know what, we could do that, but we'll come back to it later for that. That's another dumb fucking idea. Dane saying, WWE is dangerously close to making Cody the modern day Lex Luger. All Cody's momentum has come to a complete halt.
I just tweeted a gif of Lex Luger and Yokozuna in the ring. I want to preface this by saying
JB Trollhunter saying they don't think Cody's media worthy. This made Cody like,
well, you're fucking stupid because look, you're stupid because they obviously think Cody's very media worthy because nobody's ready to be the guy like Cody's ready to be the guy. I want to preface this by saying I understand wrestling is fake, but the referee looks like an absolute tool. Watching the replay of how that match ended on the big screen and then just watching Roman walk out with the belts. You guys do this gimmick shit all the time where you restart them. Like
Snoop Dogg in 2 nights in a row created a match out of nowhere.
It's like they just, it's clear they're gassed over Roman's legendary reign. I'm out.
Super chat from Michael Fisher here. Thank you, Michael. Normally, what we do here is we usually say, hey, drop your comments below. And, we started this off with a completely different setup than what we normally would do anyway. So if anybody's listened to this for the first time.
We're not done either.
We are far from done from talking about this match. It's the biggest FU to this whole thing. But we do have to kind of roll back a little bit and talk about a couple other things. We will come back with this. By all means, chat it up in the comments, in the super chats as well, and everything. Like, keep the discussion going on. Yeah, that rubber chicken. I hope that was somebody from the crowd just being like, fuck this. I hope that the crowd goes ballistic tomorrow night and not in like the, oh, we got them. Like, they're so boo. We really want somebody to beat Roman. Like, I hope that they hijack the fuck out of that show tomorrow night and just chant stupid shit. They won't. No, I mean, they
even
won't.
if they did,
the sheep are happy to follow. It's like,
and even if they did, you called it, Tony. They would just go, you see, we got you. You think you're so smart. It's not even about being a smart fan or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's just legitimately like, okay, look, you had Empire, but they didn't keep winning in every other movie after that. It was just Return of the Jedi, and the Jedi won.
Well, no, eventually, because of the way that people do shit with these companies end up doing it, they end up going, yeah, but what if none of it fucking matters? So then we go back and do the other thing. So this is a fucking Last Jedi scenario. The Force Awakens shouldn't happen, and this shouldn't happen either. Oh, god damn. Marco's got a good point. I thought April Fool's was yesterday. Yeah.
I'm so like, because there's nothing to say here. Like, full disclosure, we watched the match together, everyone.
Right. And yeah, the three of us got on before we had gone live here for that, just to watch it together, assuming that we were going to be like, this is so great. And like, we were all having fun together. And
I want to be honest. That these guys heard my raw reaction to the. Yeah,
you were like, I don't want to do the post show.
I would not have wanted to do the post show. I'm tongue tied. I'm legitimately hurt. Like it feels like this is what the cynics want. You know what I mean? That's why I'm upset, because it's like this. You're giving people ammunition. Tony had said earlier in the group chat that this show was ammunition for the crowd that doesn't want 2-night manias. This is ammunition for the fuck you WWE crowd.
This is also very much ammunition for the crowd of, you idiots, it's fake. What the hell you care? Why do you watch it if you don't get what you like out of it?
And that's my thing, because I was legitimately more emotional when the ending went down, and you have to deal with the, whoa, why do you care? You know, I care because, first of all, it's my fucking job. Second of all, it's been my biggest hobby since I was 2 years old. That's why I care. But then it's like, in this climate, in this world, and yeah, I'm going to go here because everything in this world right now is absolute garbage. Yeah, I want my fake product to give me a little bit of happy ending. Yes.
That is a really good point to bring up here, because when people go like, why would you be so upset about something like this? This is sports entertainment. Entertainment in its full form, whether it's listening to music, or if it's watching a movie or a TV show, or it's reading a book or watching a play. The entire purpose of it, watching a YouTube channel, the guys that you guys listening to this right now, you are here because you find it entertaining to listen to us. And that is either an escape, or it is a companionship, or it is something to pass the time. But the point that everybody, I'm sure you can all agree, thank you to the super chats as well, Frankie and Michael, for those. You guys would all agree, the reason that you gravitate towards a form of entertainment, whatever it is because it makes you feel good, and it makes you distracted from the way that everything else sucks. And like you said, Rob, so much of this world these days has been so terrible in so many different ways, whether it's, you can get on political soapboxes, you can get on things about the economy, and you watch a TikTok video and it's like, hey, everybody bitches about how you used to be able to afford a house for 40 grand. Well, 40 grand is the equivalent of $375,000 today, and all this. And just you can't walk outside without, I get an alert earlier today, and it's like, man with a pointy stick is running around stabbing people or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's the way that it is these days. And you go and you watch something like this because you want to be fucking happy. And I joke all the time about the whole Star Wars thing. Look at the MCU. The last thing that I remember being like this collective, everybody went, oh, good, it was all worthwhile, is Avengers Endgame. They did what they needed to do, what everybody's been waiting for 10 years, and everybody fucking loves it. And you get a situation like this, and it ends up being like, okay, so you just want to play the I also gotcha game and beat everybody down. WWE has no reason to justify this, because if their whole thing is, well, we want to get him to 1,000 days, he doesn't beat the fucking record. If they think, well, he does good enough for the advertisement rates and all, you mean to tell me that nobody else in the entire company can hold that up for you? Then that's a failure on your part. It's the same thing what they do with teachers. I got a teaching degree. I know this full well. They tell you this lesson early on. If you have a group of students and they all fail a test. You failed as a teacher. They didn't fail the test. If you have an entire roster of people and you do not think that anybody but one person can actually be worth the while, you failed at promoting them and making them superstars. So
especially because there is no evidence to suggest that Roman pops numbers. I don't, but like when I listen to people that actually do review the ratings and review like the trends and stuff like that, Roman doesn't pop numbers. Like he does better than most because he's the top guy, but
He's
still
presented as
it's
a
not
star,
like yeah, but it's still like fucking Sasha Banks did better numbers than he did before she was kicked out. Well, not kicked out of the company, walked out of the company. So it's like, he does better numbers and he is better than a star. I'm not saying like he's like nothing or anything like that, but that can't be your justification for doing this. Like beyond what again, there's zero justification, and it does like I'm just sitting here kind of stewing and festering over. I'm just thinking, you decided to forego Drew McIntyre winning in the UK, which would have been a huge moment and a huge part, but it's like, okay, it's not the right time just then. Then you forego Sami Zayn in Montreal. So, no, it's still not quite right yet. And then it's just like Cody comes in. It's just like, yeah, this just feels perfect. And yeah, you're 3 for 3 and you struck out each time. Like, how can you be so fixated on making a fake title reign this long? That doesn't matter. Fundamentally, the story of like this legendary title reign is not the story you should be telling anyway, because Roman cheats to win all his matches. So it's a honky tonk man reign. It's not a legendary title reign. So you had the moment to crown a new top baby face, fucking maybe even split the championships as a result of it as well. Do a lot of things that could be just seen as like good, new, like interesting, just something different, because we've had the same guy on top of the company for 3 years and he shows up when he wants to, and it's like, that's what we got used to with Lesnar, and some people like the attraction value, some people like fucking hate it because it means you just don't see your WWE champion on TV any time, and there's already the stories were going around Roman's taking time off anyway, so presumably if he is, then we're just not going to have a champion until fucking Money in the Bank or whatever, or the next Saudi show. And yeah, it's a very raw feeling of just how can it's. I mean, the raw feeling is not so much even the fact the result. It's more of a case of how can a company that's been doing this for promoting wrestling for 70 plus years get something so obvious so wrong. And I think this needs to, and I know, but people will make jokes about it, like, oh, Vince clearly booked night 2 and all that stuff. This needs to really paint a bullseye on Triple H doesn't know what he's doing.
If this is Triple H's call, then what the fuck, man?
Well, if it's Triple H's call, or he's had his hand tied somewhere else. And again, we probably will never know the full story, because Bruce Pritchard will come onto a podcast one day and say, like, oh, it's actually a really good decision. And if you think about it in hindsight, it's just like, fuck off. But I think that, yeah, either he's had his hand tied, or he's just decided that this is the right decision. And either way, the people who've hand tied him, they clearly don't know what they're doing. And if he's made this decision, he clearly doesn't know what he's doing, and he probably should be fired. And maybe not fired, maybe that's a bit harsh, but he needs to reconsider what he thinks is good booking, because this isn't it.
So, full disclosure, I am watching the post-show press conference. Triple H just sat down. If I mute at any point, it's to hear what he has to say. Hopefully he addresses this ridiculousness.
Definitely let us know. I'm gonna really quickly catch up on the chat a little bit here. I see some different messages. I got the super chat from Michael Patrick here saying, on a lighter note, here comes the bum knee. I don't remember what that was from. You have to explain that.
Shane McMahon, here comes the money.
Here comes the bum knee. Super chat from Michael Fisher. Seth Rollins is the guy to beat Roman. Seth, tweeted out or not tweeted out, that somebody has a picture of him toasting the Roman Reigns win. See, I got my buddy Petoni in the chat right now, saying I thought it was over when Cody hit the bionic elbow. I wanted Reigns, but that would have been a perfect ending for Cody to win it after that. Got some others in the chat here. Shout outs to the people that I have not quite said yet. Troll Hunter. We got Goji Boy. We got, I think I said most of everybody else. If I didn't say it, then shout out to you too. Just losing track of everybody here. Thank you again for joining us, everybody. Keep the chat going. I'm trying to read as much of these as I can. I mean, everybody's kind of in a lot of the same boat that we are, where it's, like, it's just, it's so deflating. And it's the type of thing that, if this would have ended the way that we were all expecting, that we hoped and that we thought should have ended and anything, then obviously we would be going back. We'd be talking about the night, like one thing to another here and there. So apologies for us bouncing around and starting right with that thing, but obviously we couldn't just hold this in because, fuck, man. We got a super chat from Frankie. This has to be a Vince decision, right? Triple H couldn't have thought of this. We were just talking about that. Super chat from Marquise. Don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist, but could this have been something to do with the relationships with betting sites? Maybe that's something. You know, I mean, all that stuff, it's so hard to necessarily like just assume, well, it's got to be this or it's got to be that. It could be a good number of different factors, but that could actually be one of those things. It could be them being like, you see, even if when it's a softball and everything is pointing towards this, you never know. So just to prove against the betting sites for all the people that did that, it could be something like that. Because WWE has done this in the past where they've been like, even if it's Mania, even if it's been built up for a full year, even if it's been a story of 3 years in the making, 5 years, 10 years in the making, we always have another show. Fuck you. Tune in and see what we happen next. Because they have it built into their brains. There are two phrases that they have built in their brains that they've developed somewhat recently and somewhat, and one that they've had like forever, it seems. One of them being that whole stupid, it doesn't matter if you boo or cheer, as long as you make noise, that shit. Also, the thing that I'm talking about here, they, for some reason, always think that not only does the show go on, but everybody's just going to forget and forgive. And, it'll work out. And if it doesn't work out, well, then you get things like Triple H beating Sting at WrestleMania because we thought that he needed to look strong for The Rock, and then The Rock thing doesn't happen. They always think that they have the ability to make up for whatever their mistakes are. And then when they don't do it, then they act like it's like, you know, well, you're not being a good fan. Because you're bringing up the thing that happened in the past. This is why we get Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, where it takes them 3 years to come back around to it, and that's all that they did was that. That was not fucking Triple H's plan. You cannot convince me that that was the case. And they fucked up. They did something stupid. They had a bad idea. They thought that they could salvage it by saying, well, stay tuned. You don't really know what's happening until it's over. And then they ignored it all. Then they thought we'd forget. And then they came back and said, see, there you go. You know, whatever. And some people in the chat saying about Roman versus Jay.
Fuck off! Stop coming up with different ideas. It's fucking. I appreciate people. As I say in the chat, I'm not trying to question, but like, just stop trying to come up with like different ideas or defenses of this. It's just a bullshit decision. Just call it like it is. It just fucking sucks. Stop trying to say like, oh, Jay White, or I don't know, they'll come back. Maybe they'll do the Rock match at WrestleMania 40 instead. It's just like, come on, just it's a stupid decision to the end of the match. There's nothing that they can come up with. I'm not saying there's nothing they can come up with better than this. Who knows? Like, there's a 1 in a million chance. Like, there was a 1 in a million chance it felt like the Roman was going to win this match, and they managed to pull that one out. So, who knows if they have another idea up their sleeve? But
I tell you, I'm not interested in this all being just because they want to do the Jay thing. I don't think that's the case either. And I'm not interested in them being like, but we really wanted to wait until WrestleMania 40 for him to lose to The Rock. I don't want that either.
Yeah, it's you could still you could have just done other things. Like, fuck it, like it But like, you have Roman win the title back at SummerSlam, you just carry on with a different direction there. This was the moment that you gave someone else the title. It's a huge show, WrestleMania. You had so much goodwill after night one. Everyone loved night one, like pretty much from start to finish, outside of like a couple of bits here and there. But for the most part, it was an overwhelming success. And all you needed to do on night two, and we'll talk about other stuff that happened on the show at some point once we've vented enough on this part, but all you need to do really to be successful on night two was have Cody win.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you needed to do.
That's the one thing that they needed to do tonight that still would have made up for all the other crap that we're going to talk about that sucked from this night.
But they couldn't even manage that because again, we don't know what the reason is. There must be a reason, but I can't fathom what the reason is right now. And yeah, there are multiple different possibilities, and we'll dive into. Well, yeah, as I say, as time moves on, we'll dive into all kinds of conspiracies and all kinds of thoughts surrounding it. But yeah,
who said Jey Uso? I don't want to knock this person too bad. But who said Jey Uso?
I forget. I'm like scrolling up and whatever. But
okay, listen to whomever says Jey Uso beats Roman. No, damn it, no! I'm so sick and tired of this. This is coming from me, who's supposed to be the fucking happy apologist guy. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of everybody.
You mean trying to figure out like an apology?
Make kind of sense out of just bullshit decisions. Let me tell you something. Attitude Era had a lot of bullshit involved, but the best thing about the Attitude Era is that they were living for week-to-week ratings, which meant they didn't wait for fucking happy ending. It was just like, go with the thing, because we gotta pop a rating. Now they think they're Spielberg, and they're not. They're just not.
Oh, they're certainly not Callum. Like Blumhouse or anything with the Bray Wyatt stuff.
But yeah, it's almost unfathomable how they could come to this conclusion and think that this was the right decision.
Shane officially tore his quad. Runs in the family, I guess.
Yeah.
Did Triple H ask any questions, or did everybody softball and act like fucking idiots?
Not yet.
Guarantee these. I mean, the people with these. Can you tell us a little bit about Into a TurboTax?
Yeah, to be fair, I'm surprised anyone would have asked any questions yet, because they probably had to surgically remove their lips from his backside already. So
I really hope that somebody's got the balls to just be like, don't you guys think you're playing with fire here? Haven't you already upset people enough? Do you really think that your dwindling numbers are going to increase after this? Or do you think that you are just burning away all your fans because you keep continually setting them up for disappointment in more ways than one too? So like, let's get into some of these other things, because this is an event that is not a one bad decision event. This was a shit event. And before we get into that, let me do a quick rundown of some of these things real quick. We do still have the Dusty Rhodes Funko Pops that were supposed to be in celebration of Cody Rhodes winning the championship. But hey, Fun.com doesn't have any control over that. So we're still going to be giving away 3 of them. Enter the contest while you can. I'll pick a winner in the next few days. And I'll put it this way. I am not going to be like, haha, surprise. It's actually that you don't win it and something else. I'm not going to do anything like that. We do have the Smark Madness tournament going on right now. I'm pretty sure we know who's going to win that, because, hey, look, at this point, you can't even say that the other one beat the other one. So vote on that while you can. I've been thanking everybody with these super chats. Thank you so much.
Let me just cut in real quick here. Much to no surprise, this was just the end of the chapter. Tomorrow night, a new chapter begins. The story never ends here in WWE. Yada, yada, yada. That's your answer.
That's such bullshit. As I said, though, thank you, everybody
that was unprompted, by the way. He hasn't been asked a question yet.
Yeah, so that's his go-to response that he had to just be like, I know you're all going to be mad, but, you know. Yeah, so I said the super chats, thank you everybody that's been doing that. Keep them going on throughout the night if you want to make sure that I see anything with the way that this is scrolling up and all. Hit the thanks button on this, hit the like button if you're enjoying this. I know that people like when we're fired up, so make sure you hit the like button on that. consider donating to the Patreon. Hit the join button on here to get access to that. And we will plug some more stuff later on. We're going to talk about fantasy league stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. So at this point, I should send out 3 Roman Reigns Funko Pops. Yeah. Or reach out to fun.com and be like, hey, so the thing we planned 3 months ago, it kind of all went to shit. So, but let's get into some of the other things, and we will continue to pop up with our goddammit, what the fuck about the main event stuff throughout the night here too. Kickoff was the kickoff, so it was a 2-hour waste of time, except for Peter Rosenberg showing a little backstage stuff. I like that. Honestly, that was one of my favorite parts of the night, which is really dumb because that really wasn't anything. And America the Beautiful, sung by Jimmy Allen. Don't know him. Still don't know him. Didn't like what he did for it. I don't like when people just fuck around with these songs. So didn't think that the rendition was all that great. Sorry, Jimmy Allen. I do not plan on buying any records anytime soon. Kevin Hart had another cold open. Not really all that funny. Snoop Dogg and The Miz came out for the opening promo, which had absolutely nothing interesting going on for it. It was just like, hey, Snoop, we're here again. Let's get into the first match. So we had a great night at WrestleMania last night. And they decided, hey, you know what? I mean, last night we started off with arguably the worst match of the card. At least one of the flattest matches, the Austin Theory and John Cena thing. Let's start off with Brock Lesnar and Omos on here. Now, it's probably because Brock Lesnar wanted to get the fuck out of there and just leave. But this ended up being something like 4.5 minutes, I believe. I think it was sub 5. And it was for what it was supposed to be, which is, can Brock do those 2 moves? He did those 2 moves. Yay.
Yeah, 3 German suplex, 3 German suplexes in the F5. Omos knocked him around a little bit and put on 2 long bear hugs, which was like took up the bulk of the match. Then Lesnar hit the moves that we knew he was going to hit. The F5 didn't even look that impressive, if I'm being like brutally honest about it. And won. And yeah, it was bad. It's like,
before the end of the show, honestly, before the middle of the show, when it went down, I was more thumbs up on it than these 2 men were. Because I was like, okay, cool. It's like 4 minutes. The crowd popped. He did the thing like Angela Bassett did. And it was fine. Now it's like, it was just the beginning of a really bad show. So, boo. Thumbs down.
Yeah, this was something that we were all looking at ahead of time of being like, this isn't going to be great. And it wasn't. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, they need to do something to make up for this. So what was their response? The Women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Here's something that I want to mention. I'll mention it here and there throughout the whole night. I don't know if this was a cost-cutting thing. I don't know if this was them not caring. I don't know what necessarily it was, but no fucking special entrances for like anybody. And you didn't even do the normal tank for Shotzi. You didn't have a special one. They didn't have it tricked out in any way, you know. So it's just the 4 tag teams come out, and within 3 moves, we had a botch. And the botches continued. This was, I forget exactly what your wording was, Rob, but it was dead on. It was something like another slow motion or over choreographed
it was
kind of thing.
Because Callum said this is bad, and I said it's the slow motion wrestling kind of bad, and that's kind of what I've been calling these matches lately. And it really was, and it was clear that Ronda's still not 100%. I think Shayna might have gotten hurt. It felt that way at least. Whatever, Ronda wins, because of course she did. And at least during this match, they said a couple times, yeah, they're all angling for a women's tag team title match, which would have been helpful in the build to this. Whatever. The grand scheme of things, like, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
Yeah, this match was just blah, nothing really. I don't say it was absolutely horrible, but it was just just what you'd expect it to be. Like 4 teams that have got absolutely no history apart from one of them as a team. Most of them aren't particularly great wrestlers, and they put on a distinctly average match that you'd see on an episode of Raw or SmackDown. And the team that won basically did nothing in the entire match, pretty much. That's like, you just had Shayna got injured. She seemed to she was limping. I don't know if she's badly injured. And Ronda was already going into it suffering like an arm injury. And she just tagged in and put on the armbar and won. And that was the only thing she did in the entire match, other than look surly on the outside.
This sucked.
Yeah.
This just sucked.
I had a lot of stupid fun things planned. Talk about how odd it was that Liv Morgan was just like super into her. I want to be a 90s, 2000s girl with her denim sleeves and her weird outfit. And I was going to have fun with this because I was in a good mood. But like in the grand scheme of things, this was a nothing match that was used to get Ronda Rousey on the card because she is Ronda Rousey and she should be on the card. And yay. Matt Cardona's proud of his wife because she got a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
She didn't even come out to her own song.
No, she didn't do that either. She didn't get a win. She didn't, but you're at WrestleMania. Like that's like, yeah, I would be proud if I was in his shoes. Be like, oh, cool, you got a WrestleMania, But like, this just sucked. I mean, like, everybody in the match did something at some point that was bad. Everybody. And I can't pinpoint any particular moments as being like, all right, Raquel did this move and it was the worst botch of the night or anything. It certainly wasn't the worst botch of the night for anybody that did anything. But it was just like a lot of the maneuvers of what we've seen in a lot of other, let's be perfectly honest, in a lot of other women's matches, especially the multi-women's matches, where they seem to be a little too chaotic and hectic, and whether it's an excitement thing or it's just like you're frazzled. You look at the men's WrestleMania showcase that we had last night. That was energetic as all hell, and that frenzy was fun. And Ricochet was flipping like crazy, and they're all landing their moves. And if they're botching anything, they're covering it up immediately so we're not noticing. And instead, with this, we're getting a lot of things where people are over-rotating. So then by the time they get around to the spot that they were supposed to get a drop kick, then that ends up being that they're already kind of on the floor. So the person drop kicking them misses the drop kick, but they're supposed to just pretend anyway. And that's the stuff that when you do that 5-6 times in a row, and then you continue to keep doing it throughout the match here and there, the whole match just falls apart. It's like it's got a faulty foundation on it. And it doesn't matter if you do a move like Raquel powerbombs Liv onto the outside and everybody catches her and all. The match sucked. And the entire match, Ronda and Shayna don't do anything because they're both apparently injured, it seems. So at the end, they just get tagged in. They do a quick moment's worth of work. Shotzi, I think it was, tapped out. I don't remember for sure. And
yeah, Shotzi did, yeah.
And that's it. And it's like, okay, so a meaningless match that wasn't good, that followed a match that was a kind of ball buster of a first segment, where the people that won didn't do anything because they were injured. And you can't even follow it up to be like, okay, but maybe tomorrow night they win the belts. Now they're clearly not ready to wrestle. So this sucked.
Oh, hold on. I want to get back to this match, but John Alba, ad-free shows, great guy, co-host Matt Hardy's podcast, just asked Triple H, listen, you had the chance to make another John Cena, another Rock. How much do you weigh out the decision of passing that up to drag out the story? And respect to him for that question.
Good. People should do that more often.
Triple H said, it's not dragging it out. We're not done telling the story.
Yeah, you know what?
Respect John Alba for asking that question.
Major respect to John Alba for doing that, then, for having the balls to fucking do it, because nobody does that anymore. Everybody just asks softball questions like, can you explain to us how proud of the women's division that you are? Or can you...
speaking of... Hold on.
Is that the next question?
No. Because I want to say, because you're talking about the showcase, before anyone says, oh, well, they like the men's match, listen to me.
Yeah, the match is better.
Every other women's match on this 2-night WrestleMania over-delivered, including 2 banger championship matches. This sucked because it sucked.
Mm-hmm.
This sucked.
Also, keep in mind, for anybody that is going to pull that bullshit criticism on us, listen last night to the way that we talked about both those matches. Number one, about how we have Charlotte versus Rhea. All of us are saying that's potential match of the year kind of candidate. One of the best WrestleMania matches that we can think of. One of the best women's matches. One of the best Charlotte matches. All these great things. We also were not super duper down on the 6-woman tag, despite the fact that that was not the best possible match and all that. But we're also going to talk positives about one of the only things that happened throughout this night that was good, and that's the other women's match. And yeah, for the people that also go, well, you only criticized that, just talked poorly about the Omos thing. All the other things we're going to talk about that are going to suck tonight too. So if you are that type of person, you could genuinely fuck off. I hate that criticism so much. Anyway, this match sucked. Segment was shit. We're off to a bad start for WrestleMania. And to follow up a lackluster beginning of it, the boring, for the most part, Omos match and this shitty match, they decide, hey, you know what we should do? We should have Bobby Lashley come out with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy so he can stand there, and then we can go to another commercial. To quote Rob, what are we doing? Because what the fuck was this?
Did fucking the Andre the Giant statue like shrink in the wash or something? Why is it so tiny nowadays? It used to be huge. And I mean, that's not the biggest criticism. The biggest criticism is the fact that he was supposed to have a match with Bray Wyatt on this show. Bray Wyatt's disappeared. Like,
and he seemingly was very open about, give me anybody. And they gave him pose with the trophy for 5 seconds.
Yep.
Disappointing.
Sure, that's how he saw his Sure, that's how he saw his WrestleMania guy.
Disappointing. And then we didn't. And then here's the only good thing we could say about this show for the next 2 matches. That's all you get.
Well, before we get even to that point, I want to talk about like just this is an indication of one of the biggest issues I had of this entire show. Obviously not the biggest, but we've already spoken ad nauseum about that, and we'll speak even more probably soon. The fucking pacing of this show is terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Commercials all over the place. Fucking brand deals within the matches, which immediately lessen the importance of it. Like, yeah, I really want to see. Obviously, they made up for it in the actual match, but I was really excited to see 3 guys beat the shit out of each other in the Intercontinental title when they're busy drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade in a pre vignette beforehand.
I got a good headline out of it, so I was alright.
Yeah, but it's just like the way that these shows are structured, and you got away with it last night because so many matches were so good that it was just like, and it kind of flown into each other. But the worst thing also is the fact that you had another night of WrestleMania, so you decide to devote a significant portion of this show saying, hey, how great night 1 was, and we just got to show some clips and footage from lots of things that took place in night 1, including Seth Rollins' whole fucking entrance during one segment. It's like, what the fucking point was that? Like, you that desperate to fill time that you can't come up with anything else.
Yeah, I'm curious if that was something. I have the Peacock Premium Plus, which, we can go on the rabbit hole of me bitching and complaining about the idea that I do not like the idea that I pay for the ad-free thing and then I get commercials, because the alternative is to get commercials on the thing that I also pay for. But the thing, for instance, like Ted's bringing up about the Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing from happened that last night, that was pretty much like, and by the way, this is also sponsored by the Cinemoji thing, and here's this little mascot that's going to wave and look kind of, like deranged for a split second, and then let's go to the match. Tonight was bombarded with advertisements. They did the Intuit thing like 7 times. They went on for over and over, just commercial after commercial. We were going into this, but this match this one had 6 matches for the lineup. Last night had 7. Based off of the fact that they added a match to last night, I was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to get at least 1 more match, if not 2, maybe even 3 matches added to this one. And instead, they filled it with more fucking commercials. The vast majority of this pay-per-view, it seemed, at a good amount of time, was like, why am I watching this? This is just a clip show of night 1. And I don't know if it's because with the Premium Plus thing, if that was all commercials for Peacock, or if that was something else that they had in mind, or if they didn't want to do anything else. But I look at that and I go, if this was a contractual thing where you need to do the Peacock ads and you run the video packages and all that, look, I already think that that's bad. I think that that's stupid. I don't think we should get video packages on WrestleMania. I've said it before, a million times before. If you have not been watching WrestleMania or watching the TV show leading up to that point, that should be the whole purpose of the pre-show. You watch a 2-hour pre-show so you can get the video packages. You shouldn't have it on the card itself. Cut the card shorter and cut the bullshit out of that. But if they, on top of that, are also saying, well, we need to get a couple more commercials in here because they need to run some, fucking Clorox commercial or something on that. The thing that I would think is put some other shit on there. Do something else. Do something that the people that are watching it can actually go, hey, I would like to watch whatever it is that you put on. So I'll spend that extra $5 to get the one that I don't have to get the commercials. I'll get this backstage interview with somebody, or I'll get this preview for something that isn't a stupid fucking movie that's unrelated to something else or whatever. And on top of that, another rant. Sorry to keep going on these rants that are sidetracks on this and all, but you got all the time in the world to do this kind of shit on the card, and you don't have time to put on somebody like an LA Knight.
I was going to say, yeah, but that would feel like a pun.
Yeah.
It's egregious, and I think we should get used to this, guys, because
I think it's going to get worse.
It's only going to get. It's going. It's only going to get worse from here.
Last night I'm sitting there going, I kind of want to make sure that I get tickets for Philly for WrestleMania. I don't know how I can afford it, but I'll talk to my friends. We'll figure out all the ticket prices. We'll do all this. My wife and I will go. We'll have a fun time, even if we get like shitty seats and all. At the end of the night tonight, not only just because of the end result, and not only just because of some of the matches that were shit, but just the presentation in general. I mean, I'll say this. I said it just in the chat or for Adam. Behind the scenes, I'll put it this way: I'm not in the best mood when it comes to pro wrestling as my job right now. Last night, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I love this. And tonight, I'm like, fuck no, I don't know. I'm at that same thing as I was before. I don't know if I want to fucking keep doing that. So I'm certainly not like with WrestleMania 40, like, oh, I can't wait to spend a couple $1,000s on that. No, I don't think I'm doing that now. No, fuck you. You do not get my money.
I'm in a cinema boat. I mean, like, I have I've always had a bit of at least for the last few years, had some relationship with WWE in terms of like sometimes it's like, oh, it's going pretty good. For the most part, it's just a case of why am I still watching this? I really don't care the most part. It's always struck me as like, especially in the last few years, like a completely empty product that cares more about moments and their sponsorship deals and their blood money and all this other stuff. And I persist mainly because of the podcast. Because and I know WWE is the biggest deal, and you kind of feel like there's some sort of obligation to do it because you've been watching it for so long. I can't say that this is going to be the thing that like breaks me. Just says like, yeah, I'm not watching anything anymore. But it's just a case of like it does just keep reinforcing that belief of I love AEW and I'm really enjoying the Ring of Honor product, and I want to get more into back more into New Japan and watch more Stardom and see some other stuff on the independents and things like that. Like, why am I wasting so much time on a product which just makes me angry often than not? It's just
I have to be a little more careful in these situations, but to say that I don't feel exactly what Tony feels or exactly what Callum feels would be a lie. I don't want to emotionally invest and then have an emotional reaction and then get laughed at for having an emotional reaction. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's like any fandom. You would like,
people get super excited for their team to win the Super Bowl or anything. Like,
we'd do more than that. It's like did people get super like? Did everyone get super sniffy about the people? So it's like, oh, why did you care that season 8 of Game of Thrones sucked?
Mm-hmm.
Or why did you care that Rise of the Skywalker wasn't a great movie? It's like, why do you care? It's just a movie. Who cares? Get on with your life. There's more important things. Like, no, people are allowed to say that the thing that the different areas of pop culture or different areas of just any culture or fandom that they follow, if they do something bad, you have a right to complain about it. And it's just like, you couldn't just say like, oh, it's wrestling, it's dumb and stupid. Yeah, it's dumb and stupid, but it's also like really entertaining in places. And and stupid in a different way, because there are far more important things we should be paying attention to. We don't want to. We want to actually, like you said earlier, we want to sit down and enjoy something. I'm not saying that means that every babyface needs to win every single match they ever have,
correct,
or anything like that. You need to tell a story about it. You need to build up the heels for this thing. But he's been champion for, like, they made the point of it. It's been 3 fucking WrestleManias that he's been the guy on top of the company.
And I have also zero faith at this point, based off of the history of the company, that their idea, again, going back to what I said before, that they always think that they look forward to the future and it's all going to make sense and all. How often have they been in situations like this where, let's just put it out there. I don't know what the case is, of course. Let's say in their mind, they're like, well, we don't want to do that now because we want to have it go until WrestleMania 40. And we want him to pass that 1,000-day thing. And we think it'll be even bigger if we set up yet another person that it was guaranteed. And it all comes down to whether it's The Rock, whether it's Cody again, whether it's whatever. Let's just say, theoretically, in their mind, they're like, it's all going to make sense if you guys wait another fucking year. First off, you are fucking playing with fire, because you cannot keep telling people, wait. And then how often have we had situations where it's been like, man, and then Roman tore bicep and he's out, and now we need to crown a new champion at Mania, and this whole thing fell apart. I have no faith that shit doesn't happen. We saw one of the things happen tonight. Clearly they had a plan for something that they thought was going to be fun, and fuck you, an injury happened. This is not something that they can rewrite and just have full control over, as much as they think that they're puppet masters in that way. And like Michael saying in the chat right here, and Mark is saying as well, Mark's comment, I'm so heartbroken that I don't even want to watch WWE anymore. Michael's saying it's not even anger, it's just deflated feeling of why should I care? Guest 5 saying it's beyond anger right now, it's apathy. Apathy is setting in big time. Yeah, that's the type of thing, because if you watch something for enjoyment, the key word is joy. You don't watch something to be annoyed and upset and feel like you put in an investment. And that's why we were okay. Go back to the last 2 WrestleManias ago. We were okay with Roman Reigns beating Daniel Bryan and Edge. Go back to Mania last year. We were like, well, it makes sense. I mean, I don't want to see the fucking Brock Lesnar thing again and again and again, but at least it makes sense that they're going with the idea of Roman doing that and whatever. And maybe next year, we were thinking, of course, it was going to be The Rock. It's like, well, at least you're setting it up for that and whatever.
This is where, if you're setting up The Rock, fuck you.
If you're setting up The Rock doing that, then you are doing the opposite of what DC is doing. You're buying into his, like, I can't lose type bullshit. And yeah, Mike, about the where Charlie Brown trying to kick the football all the time.
Yeah.
And whether it's a relationship between the people that are creating things like Fandom and the fans, or it's a relationship with any kind of partnership. If you keep burning trust and you keep saying, yeah, but you gotta trust me to continue it'll all work out in the end and all. How many times do you deal with a girlfriend of yours that's like, yeah, but I'm going to treat you better now from now on, or, you know what I mean? Like, your boss is like, I overworked you and I underpaid you, but hey, I promise that this next year you're going to get a raise. Eventually you go, no, I fucking quit.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that if it was on the table for me, taking a break from the product would be something I'd be strongly considering right now. Oh,
I'm very much considering it. I'll say that.
You're in a better space than I am.
I'll put it. I don't know how deep I want to get into this on a podcast. I'll put it this way for everybody that's listening to this. I have put out job applications for some different things. And if any of them catch on and they are the things that I'm hoping for, then you can sure as fucking, yeah, I'm not going to get into this. I'm getting a little too invested in me just being like, well, let's put down the barrier. But, you know.
And then there's the real idea that this was the final WrestleMania with a McMahon as the majority owner.
You want to go out like that?
Because there's
why break the habit of a lifetime?
There's a report that Endeavor's going to own 51% of the company, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Just today, actually. It's past midnight. Maybe as soon as today.
Which do you really want that to be the thing too? Do you really want to announce, hey, everybody, we just got bought by somebody and, you know, whatever, and then for everybody to go, oh, the fucking company that just did this, I don't want to fucking watch you, especially now after that and all. Do you really want your...
I was going to say, to quote a roided out sexual deviant with a stupid mustache, fuck him.
Think that that's their philosophy when it comes to it? Just everybody, like, hey, if they didn't like what we wanted to do, fuck them. If
the rumor's correct, he got his money, so what does he care?
He
got his money, and he also got back into the job. He got his money, and he also got back into his position without anybody, any of those spineless weaklings in the WWE boardroom fighting back against it. So you know what? He's untouchable. Same as the president that's gonna be going up into indictment and probably gonna get away scot-free for it. Some people just don't ever get what's coming to them.
Well, to use our phrase that we say all the time on here, good things are good, but holy shit, bad things are fucking bad. And it does seem like, and a lot of people I'm sure are sitting there going like, oh my God, why are you being so dramatic about this and equating it to real life? No, it's just another example of that. That's...
You want to know why? No, fuck you. I'll tell you why. Like, because this is the culmination. I'll say it again. Things in the real world aren't that great. We were all super fucking stoked. We never watched matches together. We were all stoked to just be like.
Even after watching a shit event, we were still excited to watch this main event.
Because it was like, it's Cody's moment.
So we did have one good thing that happened on the night. We had 2.5 good things that happened on this show. One of them being the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. I had written on here, these guys went from they will probably have the best match of the show to they're in a spot where they need to save the show. Little did I know what will be fucking coming up. But these Mike's Hard Lemonade promotional cutaways and stuff aside, this was a fucking great match. It's on my match of the year list. If we decide to even do a list at the end of the year at this point. Loved the Gunther and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre match, even if I think that the wrong decision happened. As much as I love Gunther, I still think that the Intercontinental title probably should have switched hands here. But they had a hell of a match. This was a lot of fun to watch.
This match absolutely ruled. It was... I was a bit nervous at the start of it because Drew McIntyre seemingly tried to go for was supposed to hit a Claymore onto Gunther and it seemed to misfire. So, but basically from that point on, that little like hiccup, the rest of it was just, three guys beating the shit out of each other from start to finish, chops aplenty, like a big chop exchange between McIntyre and Gunther, which was excellent, and Sheamus hitting his beat to the Bowery onto both guys, like, repeatedly. He had so many near falls with bro kicks and the Celtic cross and all these other stuff. Like, really, everyone was super behind Sheamus winning this one, to the point where they were booing McIntyre when they were doing the fist exchanges. And then Gunther comes in, hits the powerbomb on Sheamus onto McIntyre, and then hits McIntyre with a powerbomb. And that's I'm happy with the result, and I thought that Sheamus was going to win, and I know the crowd was super into Sheamus, so it wouldn't have been a wrong decision to have either guy win the title. I think when we said it, when we went into the predictions, there's not a wrong answer for this one. You just want it to be a great match, and it was an absolutely awesome match, definitely match of the year caliber. And I think this is one of those instances where, unlike the legendary 1,000 days that you need to preserve, this one has the potential because it's breaking it would be breaking a massive record, and now I'm more certain of anything that Gunther's beating Honky Tonk's record.
I'm not sure he'll get there just yet, but I think he had a top 3 WrestleMania Intercontinental title match of all time.
This is the guy that I'd be fine with them keeping the belt on to break a record. And they'll say that.
Well, in the other case, the guy's not even going to break a record. But anyway, it's this, Shawn and Razor, and Savage Steamboat. This was a classic Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. This is that thing that they talk about when they talk about the IC title at Mania. This was so good. Everything from, Drew and Sheamus at one point just had a great one-on-one match, and then Gunther coming in with the splash and the powerbomb from one guy onto the other guy and the powerbomb to the other guy. This was so good. It didn't care. The titles was on commentary like, oh, sugar honey iced tea. Oh, call the police. Call the police. It was just great. It was
Devin Booker.
Great. It was so good.
And if this would have been on night 1, it would have just been like, okay, everything's on night 1. That's the good thing. We might as well at that point. You should have just taken the couple things that were like, take Austin Theory and John Cena, put it on this night, put the IC title match over there, and make all the good things. Night 2 is the complete opposite of night 1. Night 1 had a few hiccups, and mostly everything else was great, with great pacing. And this was the way that it was. But who at this point do you guys think beats Gunther?
Still doing Sheamus.
I think Sheamus will. I think Gunther relinquishes it when he wins the World Championship.
I think Breaker.
I think
just like September or something. I think Braun Breaker beats him.
Maybe. I'm seeing Breaker on Raw. I mean, granted, the brands could be something different by the time we get there, but I'm seeing, if the belts stay where they are, I see Gunther remaining on SmackDown and Breaker on Raw.
I'm glad you think that you're going to be seeing Breaker on Raw, because I'm not going to be seeing Raw for a long time after this.
Emilio in the chat, apparently on Twitter, they're saying King and Queen of the Ring is in Saudis the same day as the 11,000th, Jesus, the 1,000th day for champion for Roman. If their whole plan is to just have that,
the
he'll win
1,000th day is the 18th. King and Queen of the Ring comes later.
Catching up on a couple other things in the chat. Sheamus should have won, but this was the only good thing. The only thing that was worth a fuck tonight. Gunther did look awesome the way that he finished the match. Yeah, I mean, Gunther looked really strong here. Sheamus looked strong. McIntyre looked great too. They beat the shit out of each other. They're going to be bruised to all hell. I agree, Frankie. Wish that Wade was on the call for this match. That would have been fun. So, I don't know. I mean, I still think that Gunther probably should have lost the belt, but again, kind of depends on what their game plan is, if they're able to execute it, and then we can only look about that in retrospect. But that was a great match. Good.
You guys want to read in it to McIntyre and Sheamus hugging after the match, and then McIntyre soon after the match tweeting out free waving hands emoji.
Yeah, he's just fucking with people.
I'm sure he is, but
Yeah, like
it's
people are really excited about the idea of McIntyre maybe going, and like
this is after earlier there was a Twitter storm about the fact that Bayley tweeted something which made people think that she was leaving as well.
What did she tweet?
Bayley tweeted, and sometimes even the greatest romance story comes to an end. Bye. The thing is, she had done a previous post comparing the build to WrestleMania as her romance novel. I think she's reacting to the loss at Mania. If Bayley wanted to go, I love Sasha and Bayley. I would like to see them anywhere in the world. Bayley's another one who deserves better. And I wouldn't hate that. I mean, Drew would kill it wherever he goes. but I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think he is either. But then again, who knows with tomorrow if we get an announcement. But also somebody tweeting out about the whole like, hey, you should leave and all. Our next match, one of the only other positives that we have to say for this night, Bianca Belair retaining the Raw Women's Championship over Asuka. Somebody had tweeted out to Asuka that she should just leave. And, she's 0-5 for WrestleMania and all. She had responded, I might as well go back to Japan, ... But I bet a lot of you guys, my friends, will miss me when I leave WWE. No, now I need the power of your anger. Let's bring the chaos to the boring women's division with me. And then the poop emoji. Let's bring chaos to the women's division. Let's bring chaos to WWE. So
the only issue I have with that is Shinsuke basically tweeted the same thing after he lost to AJ. But
yeah,
I would love to see Asuka bring chaos to WWE.
Quick little note about this before we get into the match itself. I mentioned earlier, really disappointed in the entrances that were happening where like Asuka came out and she had just 4 people dressed up as Asuka. And I was like, come on, this doesn't count as a WrestleMania entrance. This is stupid. And then we get Bianca's and she's got, I forget what they called the troupe, something of Compton. But
the Divas of Compton.
The Divas of Compton. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Or at least that's what they were referring to them. I don't know if that's like the troop name or something. But these little girls doing these dance routine and this gymnastics and all, and they were killing it. Doing a great fucking job. And now it turns out, according to Triple H...
Okay, good. I'm glad you...
That the girl that did the more contortionist aspect of that, her fucking mom died earlier today?
Today, yes. And she still went out and performed. And...
Like,
got to
God,
have that solo moment.
Damn it, man.
And she's strong young woman because God knows I couldn't.
That's fucking terrible. In so many different ways. Like, obviously, just it's bad enough if you lose a parent. I mean, I lost my dad 10 years ago. At this point, it was WrestleMania 29. He was in the hospital. So,
losing a parent is hard. Losing a parent at that age is unfathomable.
And that's even worse because obviously, like, she's a lot younger than I was, and shit.
This is where we're at tonight.
That's terrible for her, and girl. For her to be able to go out and do that, that's
with a smile on her face. She had her moment. Wouldn't even know. That's beautiful, man. And just to quickly jump to the end of the match, afterwards, Bianca was celebrating and they came in and got to say EST and it was beautiful. Like, that's my WrestleMania. That's what I want. And Bianca is a champion in so many ways. And she is so deserving of every accolade they give her. And she's cracked a year with the championship. And credit to her because she's everything she said she is and more. And the match was also great. She hasn't had a bad match at WrestleMania yet. That's another amazing thing. She's undefeated. She hasn't had a bad match yet. She's an absolute superstar in every sense of the word.
Yeah. I mean, not to rain on the parade, first of all, she's not undefeated. She lost to Battle Royal at WrestleMania 35 or whatever it was. So, yeah. I thought this match was great. Again, I don't think it doesn't hold up to the matches with either Becky or Sasha, but they were a lot more special. The Becky one had a great story going into which elevated it, and then you had the and the Sasha and Bianca one had that whole like momentum being the first all African American women's main event, and so that had a special feel to it. This one didn't have that much because there wasn't really a great story leading into it, but I thought the actual in-ring storytelling was great. The whole thing they told was that Asuka kept putting Bianca into submission holds and Bianca kept powering out of them. And that was basically the theme of it throughout the entire thing, whether it's like that power bomb on the outside or it was just, getting out of leg locks and ankle locks and everything possible, just like using her strength to overwhelm Asuka. Asuka missed trying to hit the blue mist into her face. They did a nice sequence towards the end where she had the Asuka lock put in. Bianca was able to. Oh, actually, it was a cross arm breaker. Managed to put that in. Bianca does what she'd been doing the entire match: lifts her up, hoists her onto her shoulders, hits the KOD, gets the victory. This was one of the ones where, like, in the same way that you feel about the Gunther thing, this is the one where I felt like you needed to do a change here, and Asuka should have won this match. Not that I have anything against Bianca at all, and again, like, she's building up this streak, it seems like, and she's having great matches, and she's a very, like, excellent ambassador for your for the championship as well, which is awesome. But yeah, it feels like the ending feels a little bit flat because I just don't know what's the direction next. There's no one at the moment who's, again, the whole thing be like, I know Charlotte Flair's out there, but surely that's them actually building for next year's WrestleMania. Why would you be going headfirst into that right now? So we'll wait and see. But so outside of perhaps it being the wrong choice, admittedly not the worst wrong choice they made of the entire weekend, I thought this match was excellent.
Yeah, and it was a very good match, and I do think that the mist could have played a larger part, but Bianca did a great job of just avoiding it and showing off her strength. I do think Asuka should have won. I'm worried because I want her to just hold the title and face Charlotte next year. Then it's like, I don't want Charlotte to beat her either, but I'm kind of over these super long reigns, even before tonight. So I would like to see someone come on who could give her a show. Like, just call Zoe Stark up. You just, give her a fresh match that is worth her while.
Yeah, and we don't know what they're planning on doing for the future of a lot of these things, but they had a great match, Asuka and Bianca, as expected. Like, I mean, we were talking about earlier, the women's showcase match was garbage, but this was great, and I still think that they shouldn't be left off the whatever the phrase is. I'm blanking on the name I was going to say. That they shouldn't have the noose around them, but that's not a phrase. It's just me being like, you should fucking whatever. They shouldn't be left off the hook. That's the phrase I should be going with when it comes to the build for this, because it had no build. It was shit. Absolutely. And we had talked about this for weeks. The idea of they're probably looking at this as, it doesn't fucking matter. In 8 weeks, you're going to just watch the match and the match will be good. And we all kept saying the same thing. Yeah, we know the match will be good, but fuck you for not giving me at least semi-quality entertainment or putting in any kind of effort on the TV shows. And I tweeted something earlier in the night about when the Intercontinental title match was starting. I was like, why is it taking 50 minutes for this pay-per-view to get started, essentially? And then I was like, no, actually, why is it taking nearly 3 hours for this pay-per-view to get started? Because it was a 2-hour pre-show, and somebody had said, well, you watched the pre-show? That's your mistake. And I'm like, no, that shouldn't be your apologetic way. I should watch the pre-show and be entertained. You're putting a promotional thing out there. You're putting a product out there. Your programming should be good. Every minute of every show should be good. It's not going to be, but you should try to make it good. I try to make sure that every minute of these podcasts is entertaining for everybody. And we certainly do not get any fucking close to the fucking supporters and money that WWE has, where they've got the ability to make people and make sure that, hey, in a situation where we might not be able to record for the longest time, somebody else can pick up and do the whatever and all. Like, if we can put the effort for that kind of stuff, then they certainly can too. And when it comes to watching the feud of Bianca Belair and Asuka leading up to this, they didn't do anything. So fuck you. Why would I want to watch the episodes of Monday Night Raw if it's just wait until Mania? I'll just not watch Raw and I'll wait until Mania. And that's the philosophy that I hate, because it's like, I don't like these companies these days. They act like, hey, we're a family and all, and then they get rid of their coworkers and their employees and all. But also on top of that, people also have this philosophy of like, well, we're not making any money, so we have to bump up our prices, and we are like, we need your support. Oh man, like tweet out about this, about whatever, because, you know, help out fucking Tide Pods or whatever the hell it is. And then you get to actually like giving back and all, and you go, well, we don't need you to actually watch the TV show. We don't care if you tune in and you fucking enjoy it or whatever. No, then you can't have it both ways. And that's another one of our phrases. Let's check that off the list. You know?
And I just want to honestly say, I'm so sick of... We do it with each other and just because I can bust these guys' balls. But I'm so sick of people in general being so cynical, desensitized, whatever the fucking word you want to use, and just being like, oh, well, you knew XYZ, it's your fault. It's like, no, the rule of law right now should not be, well, you know the system's fucked, you know everything sucks, so boo you for wanting...
Yeah, it's your fault for getting your hopes up, or it's your fault for trying, or...
And trust me, this is not the fucking show I wanted to do tonight.
No, this was the show that we were... I mean, I was going into this after last night in particular, being like, we're going to have so much fun. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be having a lot of great things to talk about, because Mania last night was fucking awesome. It rocked. Tonight's going to be great. We're going to talk about this great match and that great match. And, you know, I see title match is going to be great. And hey, maybe we get some fun surprises here. Maybe they got something planned for Lashley. Maybe we got the Bianca Belair match was good, but arguably, to be perfectly honest, am I more excited about the future of Bianca Belair's title reign after this than I was before? Honestly, no. I'm the same excited level that I was. Bianca is a great professional wrestler. So she'll have good matches with good people. If she's with a person who sucks, then she'll have a harder time having a great match. And she'll continue to be great in the ring. And if I'm watching the show, I'm sure her segments, when it's the in-ring segments, will be one of the more enjoyable ones. And her promos will all depend on what the promo is all about and all. But I'm not like, man, this match was so good that I can't wait to see the next chapter. I'm just like, okay, well, they fed Asuka to Bianca and they put up a good match, and they probably didn't have anything else in mind, and they said, I don't know, Asuka will fucking get a good, you could get a good match with Asuka. Imagine if I did that with like these pay-per-view points. Let me know, everybody. If you ever think that I give off that vibe, definitely let me know so I can correct that, because that's never what I'm doing. But Frankie's suggesting thinking about a heel turn after for Asuka or for Bianca. Let me know.
Probably Asuka. It feels like she's gonna go in that direction.
Yeah, she's talking about bring the chaos and all. But at that point, afterward, I was like, oh, we were going to get a lot of filler here. It's 9:40, and we only have 2 matches left. So we got a bunch of commercials, and here and there. And we got The Miz coming back out again with Snoop Dogg.
The exact same segment as they did.
Yep, to talk about the amount of people that are in the crowd and to address what happened the previous night, where The Miz says, hey, Snoop, since you're the dog father of WrestleMania, by the way, a thing that they did not fucking announce ahead of time in any capacity and put any effort into, despite the fact that he had a goddamn championship. How the fuck did that happen?
The only reason I knew is because he was on the merchandise, and I said, well, if they're advertising him, I guess he's that co-host they keep talking about.
Yeah, he was on the poster that they put out like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like, oh, Snoop Dogg's on there. That's strange. But they didn't bother to put that on the TV show or anything, because why would you do that? Why would you do something that would make perfect sense and get you more media attention or whatever? Anyway, he says, hey, well, not verbatim. This is basically what he says. Hey, Snoop, so what the fuck, man? Why'd you put me up in a match last night? And Snoop goes, well, you want to do it again? He goes, no, I don't. He goes, well, and it's bad phrasing. I hated that this was, he was like, oh, when I said my bad, I meant my bad, and points to the stage, and out comes Shane McMahon. So full disclosure about
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be giggling.
well, full disclosure about the way that my wife was watching this. Last night, she was into it. She was watching the show. She watched the entire show with me. She was like cracking some jokes. She was having fun. Tonight, she was on her phone for the vast majority of it. And when Shane McMahon came out here and I went, the fuck? She went, wait, what? What happened? And I was like, Shane McMahon's out here. And she's like, oh, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't know what it means, but if it means that we're getting a match, which most likely is going to be the case, then that's not going to be good. And if it means that he's back into the mix, I don't know what that means for WWE, but with the Endeavor stuff, I don't know. And then it wasn't soon after this that she was just like, I'm, kind of like going to go in the other room and do some other stuff and go to bed and all. But Shane McMahon comes out and it's basically like, hey, we are going to get a match. It was maybe 20 seconds into the match.
It was a good minute or two. Because Shane does his punches. And he's actually like... And I made the comment right before it happens of, he's showing off. He's doing leapfrogs. And then all of a sudden, I see he's on the ground. And I'm just like, what? And he's trying to get up and he can't. And I go, oh my God, this is really happening. Shane McMahon suffers a torn quad at WrestleMania after trying to hit a leapfrog in a match with The Miz. And I don't know if it was improv or not, but God bless Snoop Dogg, who just got right in the ring and said, you're not going like that. Punched out The Miz.
Punched him out twice.
Hit a horrible people's elbow, covered him for the 1, 2, 3. And
I kind of feel like the segment was supposed to be that The Miz would get the win over Shane. And then I
think Snoop Dogg just would have knocked him out, leading to an elbow drop from Shane and 1, 2, 3.
It could have been that too. I think that there was a chance that maybe it was like, okay, The Miz beats Shane and then he's all happy and then Snoop Dogg punches him out, whatever. But I mean, Shane going down and just being out. And then my wife was still kind of in the room at the time. And I was like, God damn it. Like, you got a fucking injury going on. And she's like, oh, is this fake or is this real? And I was like, if it's fake, they're doing a shit job about this because this is a bad booking decision. If it's real, which I think it is, then holy shit, this is bad. Because he goes down, and credit to Snoop, man. If this was not in any kind of plan whatsoever, and he just said, look, we got to call an audible, and I'm just going to do this. How the fuck did Snoop have a better reaction than most other people would have had? Not that he did rate people's elbow or anything, but like it wasn't that much after that he was just sort of like, well, how about I go and punch The Miz or whatever.
In the ring and just like, okay, man down. I know what I have to do. That's really, really impressive.
Yeah, you could have had a pretty stellar career if he'd taken this up like 20 years ago or something. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as soon as he went down after that leapfrog, I fell out of my chair laughing. And I know
because he's hurt, but
like,
just because.
Oh no, because he's hurt.
The fucking train wreck. Okay.
Yeah, like, you're not sitting there going, haha, fuck you, Shane. You're just like, this is ridiculous.
No, I'm
you're doing
fuck you, Shane.
Okay.
Because it's like the Dante Martin thing that happened at Supercard of Honor. That's obviously sad because it's like it's a young kid with his whole career in front of him, and it's like it's a terrible spot. And so it was a spot that like was like very high risk, and it didn't pay off for him, and that kind of sucks, especially because of the bad luck that team has faced. This is a guy who should have retired 15 years ago and has got more money than he knows what to do with. It's like the most basic wrestling, not even move, but like spot that you can possibly do, pretty much, and blows his quad out of it, which is a thing which isn't going to like take him out of long-term action. So yeah, I found it fucking hilarious that he injured himself doing that. Like it's not life-threatening or anything like that. He blew out his quad, and he's not like he was ever going to probably come back and be full-time wrestling, so it doesn't really affect anything. So yeah, I'm going to laugh about this because it was funny.
Okay. I'm laughing at him laughing.
I mean, it is ridiculous. It's the type of thing that it's like, you know, like you just, if they could put like a laugh track to these things and stuff, like that would be one of those da 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 kind of things. It's like Shane comes back. Oh, holy shit, Shane's back. And I guess in their mind, they're thinking he's going to beat up The Miz and people are going to pop like crazy and it's going to be super fun. And instead it's like, was this like karma catching up or something?
What is it about this whole McMahon family with quads?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. They're not built. That is their Achilles heel.
Has Steph ever torn her quad?
Well, we don't know. She did get surgery on her foot, I believe, after resigning. Very weak in the lower extremities, this family.
I mean, you got Triple H, you got Shane, you got Vince. But this fucking sucked.
I'm sure that any of that's got nothing to do with certain substances that they take. That's fine.
I know. How dare you?
So that means we really dodged a bullet with when Linda stood up from the wheelchair that she
just goes and sits back down.
For the second time on this podcast, I have tears in my eyes. Sorry, I should be moving on. Regain my composure here. This segment sucked. It sucked balls, and that was just one of those things where it's like, oh goddamn, man, they were building up something. They're trying to, they had a bad start, 2 hours worth of a pre-show that sucked, an Omos match that was blah, the shitty filler stuff with Bobby Lashley, the awful women's WrestleMania showcase, and then they had the good IC title match. They have that good Raw Women's title match, which I'm sure a lot of people were still annoyed about the outcomes for it. But it's like, then you do this segment and you're just like, this show's cursed tonight. And lo and behold, the next segment ended up being something that was cursed too. But first we got Edge coming out to a song that I didn't recognize. He's got a mirror mask on, which looked kind of cool, and these bat wings that made my wife laugh. And Brood song, but it said Brood on there, didn't it?
This is Brood Edge, like Demon Kane.
Oh, that's what it is. Were they calling him Brood Edge?
Yeah. Well, that's what he said on the thing. It said
Brood Edge.
Yeah, it said Brood Edge.
Yeah,
that was on Titantron.
Oh.
but also you're forgetting that wasn't how this segment started. This segment started with a soliloquy by Russell Crowe.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right. Is this like the Pope's killer or something? What's
the Pope's exorcist.
Yeah, okay.
The Pope's exorcist.
The Pope Tour Squad, whatever it is, I don't
know. Yeah, Edge came out to some Slayer song, I think.
Slayer South of Heaven, according to Adam in the chat.
He was he had the bat wings. I was very excited for the normal Hell in a Cell cage. Balor comes out and has his normal theme song, which was kind of cool, and smoke.
He's got his purple smoke sticks, which seems like he should be at a rave instead. You just put some techno music to it or something. Just have him come out to kind of things. I don't recognize Slayer. I've talked before about how I'm not a big music guy. I mean, I didn't even like the Jimmy Allen thing from earlier and all. And you'd think that I would like Batwings, because I am a big fan of a particular thing called The Batman, A Nighttime Story. Look at that. You got a plug. Look at that. A direct verse from the Wayne Foundation archives over there on fanboysanonymous.com. Go ahead and check that out, because it's part of the Blueprint Project. And if you want to show more support for a project that I actually am interested in continuing going forward, and I will probably put even more effort into, because fuck WWE when these kind of things. Instead, the Blueprint Project is when I control things and I get to show you, hey, look at that. This is what happens when you put effort and time and care into something. And it turns out that it actually can be pretty good. So check all that out over on fanboysanonymous.com. Show your support and give me a reason to be doing this for the rest of my life instead.
I fully support that. But they got in the ring, guys, and they immediately go for weapons. And
Oh, the weapons.
The weapons are color-coded.
We got the cage to go back to not being red, but instead they're like, but we got to do something with the fucking weapons. So instead, even though Finn Balor's got these red and purple straps hanging from him and all, let's have red and purple steel chairs and kendo sticks, because that's not going to look fucking ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was like really shitty Hammer horror school theater stuff, and the color coded weapons. It's like, oh, it's purple and red, but I'm still going to use the purple one, even though I'm supposed to be the red guy. And then we just find actual like properly colored like kendo sticks and chairs and all the other stuff. So what was the point of having the color coded ones in the first place? It's yeah, I don't know why they decided to add any sort of layers to it.
Yeah.
I think I know it's kind of like probably what Edge thinks is like good lore or good storytelling. I mean, I put this in the chat. I'm more than willing to say this. I wish that Edge's return at the Royal Rumble in 2020 was one.
One-off.
I actually resent the fact that it's gone to resent the fact that he came back, because he's been given too much power over his stories, and he clearly doesn't know what he's doing.
Adam in the chat's like, were they tiered video game weapons? Does the purple chair do more damage?
I think
it's the Pokemon move.
I think
like,
we're heading towards...
Yeah, it's like a Master Ball instead of a...
I think
well, no, not even that. It's like
lore makes sense. Honestly, I think they think
it's like you hit Balor with the purple kendo stick, and it's minus 2 times damage because it's a type. And obviously, if you hit him with the red one, then that's super effective.
Yeah. It's this, you know, I said before that this was a match that I was not looking too forward to, because it's like, look, Hell in a Cell is not the way that it used to be. Demon Balor wrestles exactly the same style as Finn Balor normally does, so that's not anything past the entrance, and the entrance wasn't even all that cool, so that's another thing that's, you know, whatever. But when they get into the mix of actually doing the match itself, it comes to a grinding halt. Yep. Because Edge throws a ladder at Finn Balor, which, by the way, also, I'm sure, Callum, you loved this. How quickly did they start getting into the "We Want Tables" chants? Yes, almost immediately.
Of course, yeah, it didn't take long.
But he throws a ladder at Balor and busts him open, and they decide that they need to stop the match and give him that injection, that like glue type stuff or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what the concoction is, but it's like the sealant shit. And credit to Balor, you could tell he's pissed, and you could tell he's like, I want to fucking keep doing this. Yeah. And it even seemed like he wanted to open it back up again afterward. Like he was kind of like smacking himself in the head. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? If I'm in his shoes, I'm sitting there going, no, you're going to kill this match. Come on. Like, just let me bleed a little bit. It's going to look cool.
And it was at that moment that Jon Moxley threw up in his own mouth.
The scary thing is, it looked like they were going to stop the whole match. For 5 seconds, I thought they were going to stop the whole match. And it was going to end on, he threw a ladder at him and he bled. But here's my problem with this. In about 2 months' time, we're going to see overkill of promotion for the 25th anniversary of Mick Foley and The Undertaker. That's coming. And they're going to do a lot for it. And it's fucking hypocritical, because you will celebrate the fact that this guy nearly died and how cool the imagery is and all that, and you won't even let the stars of today do a tenth of that. And yes, you can argue it's better this way, but it completely kills the flow of Hell in a Cell match. It completely kills the excitement, the possibilities, the lore, the whatever you want to call it, dead in the water. And
yeah,
I'll just say, don't do Hell in a Cell matches anymore. Like, if you're gonna act like this, don't do them.
They get like super protective about like a little bit of blood, and they're about to be owned by people that thought that Power Slap was a good idea. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if it was like if it was concussion protocol, I can kind of see that, because it's like he did take that ladder full in the face, so that could have been like, if they were just checking his vision or anything like that, then I can understand you need to prioritize the workers' safety in that instance. But if it is just he's busted open, just fucking run with it. Who cares? It's like is the whole fabric of the company going to fall apart if they let a guy bleed in the ring? And he's covered in face paint anyway, so you probably barely see the blood in the first place.
The only reason you knew is because you could see it dripping on the mat.
Yeah,
it wasn't visible.
Yeah, and he doesn't look. I mean, I don't know, because people can still do some crazy things while concussed. But he didn't seem to be in any kind of real bother or hesitation doing the rest of the stuff in the match. And frankly, the blood stoppage is like stupid, and they shouldn't have done it in the first place. But pretty much from that moment on, when Balor is like, he's pissed off and he wants to do what he does, he basically says, "Fuck it, take this in another gear." And the match pretty much from that point on was actually really good.
Agreed.
Wasn't enough to save the beginning, but it was still very good.
Because they immediately, Edge does a DT off the ladder, Balor climbs onto this little platform thing on the side of the cage, does a coup de grace, Edge moves and goes through a table, but they really did kick it up. But for me, this match, grinding halt, and I had the hardest time getting back into it, because I'm just going, man, I know what you do every year for this match. You get so geeked about, the history of Foley, and I mean, anytime they show Stone Cold Steve Austin, the first thing they'll show you is him in that sharpshooter. It's fucking hypocritical. You go, these guys were real men. They were tough. They're badasses. We can't. Our guys are soft and squishy, and we can't let them do anything. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's a blood feud. Let them go. Let them go.
Have you seen the picture of Finn's head?
I have not.
Finn has tweeted that out. Seems about like 20 minutes ago or so. Big gash.
Whoa. No.
That's a huge gash.
That is sick. That is gnarly.
I will put this in the chat
Part
for
in his
everybody.
Hairline. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a gnarly gash. That explains why he was bleeding so much.
Yes.
So, but again, like, it's, it's the type of thing that, you gotta be safe and make sure that people aren't gonna have any kind of issues like that. But man, it would have been so much cooler if they would have just kept that match going, And it's like the fact that it followed up what it did, all these bad kind of leading up to that point, and then you get to the Shane McMahon thing, and then you stop this match midway through. At least the second half of the match was better. Other than that, they kind of bumped up the importance value for it. So I will go on the record of saying that we had like 2.5 good matches on this card, and it kind of depends on the way that you do the main event, but half of this match was great. Still wasn't as good as it should be.
Well, we're there, even though we've probably already spoke about it ad nauseum already, but let's talk about the actual main event in terms of the in-ring side of things.
Well, we have to talk about 15 minutes worth of commercials before that.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, so Edge, by the way, for anybody who wants to know, Edge won with a concerto, particularly with two of the red chairs. So,
I wanted to
that.
bring that up because, I think I wanted to bring that up as well because, the Demon's dead now as a gimmick. Like, this was his big return after that really awful match that he had with Roman Reigns and that awful Finn match. And he comes back, becomes a Demon for this one. And this is probably actually, I don't know whether you agree with this, Tony, this felt like the first time that he wrestled slightly differently, or at least had a different attitude. It felt like wrestling as a Demon.
There were a couple moments where he seemed like he kind of like hulked out a little bit or something, yeah.
Yeah, and then they just beat him. It's just like painting all this to me, especially what I know the main focus is on the main event, and rightly so. But realistically, even the matches that we liked, we could arguably say that they chose the wrong winner.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can either say that every match is either poorly booked or just bad.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to say, for instance, the IC title match, if they're like, no, like, I personally think that Gunther probably should have lost. And I would have been more invested in the idea of Drew McIntyre wins and then Sheamus goes after him, or Sheamus finally wins that and it ends up being this like, yay, like Sheamus got the triple or the Grand Slam championship thing checked off and all. I could also go with the Gunther thing. It's not a set in stone negative that Gunther, and Gunther is great. So it's like, it's not like you're keeping the belt on somebody that I don't enjoy. Same with Asuka. Could make the argument that Asuka should have won. So if you look at that match and you go, yeah, it was good up until the ending. Okay. But then we get into the main event. And we've talked about a lot of this already, so we're going to kind of reiterate some of those points. But some of the things we haven't talked about, for instance, was Cody's lack of an entrance. That was like as good as what it should have been, in my mind. I was underwhelmed. Were you guys?
They gave him the Cody Vader, and honestly, I thought what they did for him was beautiful, because he goes over and he hugs his daughter, and his daughter's super excited, and John. Brody Lee's kid is there, Brody Jr. He gives Brody Jr. the belt, and it's emotional, and you're just like, you're feeling it. You're like, this is the moment. And then Roman gets more. And I think that, in hindsight, that said a lot, didn't it?
I mean, I when I saw like the big entrance, I thought, okay, so they're giving him a grand send off.
Yeah, they're saving it for the end. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Cody.
Like the big grand. Oh no, Cody. No, well, no. I mean, Cody's entrance was. I thought Cody's entrance was perfectly fine. I mean, he got like tons of pyro, and then it was more just like a family thing. I think it was decidedly more humble. I thought that worked for him in the same way that I think the Owens and Zayn entrance for the main event, like the fact that it was basically just them two coming out, it's kind of like, yeah, that kind of fits this kind of underdog babyface story, whereas Roman comes out with these 6 grand pianos and this giant, and he's obviously his super long entrance is like always just a big spectacle in itself. So I thought, okay, they're going overboard on this one because it's the final one. It's like, so they'll go all out for it, and then they'll have like tons of pyro for Cody when he gets the victory. When you actually talk about the match itself, it's hard to actually objectively talk about the match because when you know what the finish is.
This was a really good match with an absolutely shitty end that completely ruined everything that came beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, was it a really good match? Like, it was every single Roman Reigns match there's ever been since, like, well, at least for the last like year and a half or so, which is, yeah, like maybe bell to bell. Like, some of the action is very good, but it's a lot of walking around, it's a lot of talking, and it's tons of interference, and it's ref bumps, other stuff. It's the same shit that it's been for the last year and a half. Frankly, like the biggest reason I wanted Cody to win was beyond the point of just that obviously the story felt right and Roman's been on top for. But yeah, the main thing is Roman's been on top for way too long, and his matches are all the same. And I think that they're the same. Like they're not saying they're terrible matches, but they are. It's been the same thing for ages, and so just the thought of having something different and a fresh like babyface as your world champion, because fundamentally Roman's been a heel for the last 3 years, so you've had a heel world champion for 3 years. And if the whole plan is like, oh, he's gonna like be up there with Bruno, I don't know how to break this to them, but Bruno was a babyface, and that's like, it's slightly different when you got like a top babyface as your champion, because crowds actually want to come and see them. I know Roman is like, he's heel in the kind of cool, popular heel type way, but and like surely you'd want to have like a top babyface moving forward, or at least like, try it every now and again. Have a baby face be the top guy in your company, but I guess they're too smart for us. They clearly see something that we don't.
I didn't even honestly really love the Roman entrance. To go back to that, I think it's kind of ridiculous that they had like the digital keyboards glued to the top of the pianos to pretend like they're regular pianos or something. I don't know exactly what the setup for that one was, but you could very clearly see digital screens on that. So that started off as like, oh, this could be kind of cool, and then it just went to his normal thing. He had his normal ring gear on. That just seemed blah. Shout out to Jeremy Lambert for a good tweet. He said a lot of people talk about people having boo-boo face before they, like when they come out for their entrance, that Cody had boo-boo pyro, and that should have been the first tip. Yeah. And I talked about this before with the idea that I think that they're just like, we got to cut costs and we don't want to do anything really all that special for the WrestleMania entrances. They really did not spend. They couldn't have spent. I should say it that way. I don't know what their numbers. They could not have spent a lot of money on the entrances this year for Mania. The pyro wasn't there for much. The people that got quote unquote special entrances were really lackluster. Like, look, let's put it this way. It's cool that the Make-A-Wish kids came out with John Cena, but is that a WrestleMania entrance in the same way that we were talking about things like the way that Undertaker used to come out, or that like Triple H had the throne and the skull thing and all? No, it's just that they brought the Make-A-Wish kids out. And when it comes to like the people dressing up as Asuka, no, you just took some of Asuka's ring gear and put that on 3 other people or 4 other people. So they didn't spend a fucking dime on that for, a lot of these. And then they start getting into the match itself, and the match is what it was, and I'm writing down all these things, I'm getting into it, this is a lot of fun and all, and it comes to a fucking grinding halt because we decide that we want to keep the belt on Roman. And to go back to some of the points we were talking about before, I just can't wrap my mind around the idea that they think that Triple H said something heading into this where he talked about the reason why the tag team titles went on last for night 1, which was that's the better story. That's the one that's resonating the most with the audience. And they weren't going to give Charlotte and Rhea the spot just because they're representing the women's division. They wanted to go with the thing that would mean the most. And on paper, or whatever you want to phrase it, why do we have the Usos not as the tag team champions right now, but Roman retained? Why did we have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out here to help even the odds, and it set up this whole thing just for Solo to come back out and do that? Like, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but in my mind, I look at this if I'm somebody brand new to watching wrestling and I go, oh, so I bet everybody's expecting that Solo Sikoa guy to be the one that turns on him and beats him. And I do not want that to happen if that's what they think.
Let's take that a little bit. So it's a Solo Sikoa thing, and then the other people will talk about Jey Uso. Fundamentally,
there's also The Rock, and then there's also Cody at second match too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I know there are other options, but I'm just focusing on those 2 for the moment.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, with those 2, yes, you can you can make the argument that like it's a more full circle thing, and it's within the bloodline, and this whole angle is about the bloodline. So that's sort of finalization. Tell me with a straight face that those 2 are ready to be world champion. The fact is, because you have that moment, and as Triple H so candidly said in that press conference, the story keeps going, and I love the guy, and I think he's great in the ring, and obviously he's an amazing tag team champion. Jey Uso is not a world champion.
Yeah, there's a difference
Cody
between that.
Is a world champion. Solo is nowhere near ready yet. He's definitely got presence, but he's an enforcer. He's not world champion ready yet, and he probably won't be for several years. He
didn't even have a 1-week title reign with the North American title in NXT. So it's like, you can't be looking at that and going, well, he's proven himself ready to be the guy that beats the guy for this whole thing. Because that's not even the thing too. It's not like you're just putting the belt on to go with like Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal beats Randy Orton because it's like, well, we got another champion. We got Brock, so we can play around with that other one. No, this is at this point even more so. And there's an argument to be made, of course. Maybe you killed a lot of the good momentum here, and maybe it doesn't matter as much now when Roman Reigns loses, because a lot of people are just going to be like, all right, I'm checked out. You're going to fucking do whatever you're going to do when you're going to do it. Or he relinquishes the title for some kind of an injury, and then, like the investment level might not even be there to begin with at this point. But whoever does beat him, if you're lucky enough to have this work out, needs to be somebody that you're putting over in a similar vein to who's going to beat Goldberg. Look at how that turned out. Or who's going to beat the Asuka streak, and it just went to Charlotte. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, but fundamentally, it's the guy that should be that you position as like this is who we think is one of, if not the next top guy. This is your new Austin, your new Cena, your new Rock, whoever. And it's like that definitely can't be the Rock. Then if you can't, the old Rock can't be the new Rock as well. That just won't fly. But just like Jay's not that guy. Jay's great. He's a tag team guy. He's not that guy. Like it's very obvious he's not that guy. And the whole storyline with him, he definitely should be feuding Roman and he should beat Roman. But that could have been a completely separate storyline that you'd also be doing. You'd have this whole disintegration of the Bloodline storyline going on, while at the same time you have Cody Rhodes as your WWE champion, having another big feud with another guy like a Rollins or a McIntyre or whoever at the same time. But no, you still have to keep everything into the Roman basket. Every single thing is like put into this one guy. And it's just like he holds both of your world championships. You've backed yourself so far into a single corner. You put yourself like all of your chips on one horse. And again, like, and I definitely don't want to like tempt fate or anything like that, but we just saw what happened here. What if that horse gets injured at one point?
There's a very good chance. What happened when you gave him the belt one of the other times recently? I mean, recently, in the sense of one of his other preceding title reigns, he had to go away because of the leukemia stuff. It happened.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because what was that immediately off the back of? He finally beat Lesnar, and then it was erased. He had to immediately go away because of the leukemia thing.
And let's talk about what did that lead into? The other pay-per-view that's listed on this channel as the pay-per-view sucked for the name of the thing. The hell, man? What's with this Roman Reigns title reigns? They do not work out. I like Roman. I fucking loved all of this. I was hoping that this would be the end of it, not because I thought that Roman was like, oh, I'm fucking tired of him or anything. I've loved this version of Roman, but you had the perfect story for this. And I want to ask you guys, first off, thank you, and to Frankie for who the fuck is beating this guy, Rollins, Gunther. That I want to get into some of that too, because yay or nay, at this point, after we've been talking about this for an hour and a half or however long we've been on. How long have we been on? An hour and 55 minutes. Yay or nay for this, of what you think. Do you think that this is the reason why? And people in the chat too, let me know. I have a couple of them lined up. Number one, yay or nay. Do you think that the reason why they did this is because they legitimately think Cody losing will lead to more support and Cody winning later will be better than winning at WrestleMania?
I don't know if that's what they're thinking currently, but I can see that being their defense if it happens.
Yeah, I don't think that's the real reason, but I think that's the reason that they're telling themselves.
Kind of like, well, you know, we had Brett lose at WrestleMania 10 or WrestleMania 9 so he could win at WrestleMania 10. And in retrospect, weren't we telling such a great story, even though that very clearly was not the case?
No, kind of like, hey, we had Roman lose to Brock at WrestleMania, and then SummerSlam, and then WrestleMania.
And then SummerSlam, and then the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then
SummerSlam. And weren't we telling such a great story?
Like, you think they think that there's a chance that they were looking at that and going, hey, in the past when we've had that's worked out, even though most of the people, I would assume, would all be in the same boat of like, no, we were just happy you finally fucking did it, rather than that was the best case scenario.
Because they passed the best case scenario and went for the lesser.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some people who really feel like SmackDown at MSG, because it'll be on Fox, and it'll be on TV, and it'll have passed 1,000 days, is the way to go.
Well, that answers kind of two of the other ones. I have more than two lined up for this, but one of the other ones I was going to have, yay or nay, do you think that they have a specific show in mind for Cody to win this, if he does, in fact, win it? And if so, what? You're thinking Madison Square Garden.
MSG, whatever the SmackDown is at MSG. Currently, Roman's not scheduled for that, but I can see that changing.
What about you, Callum?
I think we're going to WrestleMania 40.
With these two?
Do you think?
No, I think it'll be Rock.
Beating Roman or just going up against Roman again?
No. I think Reigns retains then, and then we're going to WrestleMania 41.
So realistically, when do you see him losing?
Maybe 41 by that point. Maybe they'll figure out someone by that point.
After 5 years, yeah.
That is another one of the questions I was going to ask, which was, do you think that they just kind of want to keep this on Roman until they need to take it off of him? Like he's forced to relinquish it from an injury or something. But even then, of course, the amount of times that he defends the title, they could very easily just be like, and we don't have a champion for 9 months, because they've done that kind of similarly. Yay or nay? Do you think that they think we're legitimately going to keep this on Roman for as long as we possibly can?
It sends a really bad message to the rest of the roster. But I can see a world where that exists.
Adam's saying, yeah, possibility for that.
Actually, I might revise my statement a bit. This might be, and again, it feels weird to say because the Cody situation, and obviously, like he is was Mr. AEW for a while. If they have got Kenny Omega lined up, then maybe that changes things.
Kind of roll into another one of the questions I was going to say, yay and nay. Do you think that this ends up hurting anybody's, I don't know why I phrased it like that, hurting? I'm really enunciating that. Do you think this ends up hurting anybody's perspective with AEW, like an MJF or a Kenny Omega, to be like, you had it going here for Cody and all, and you still decided not to? Because I know there's a lot of people, and I've seen this suggested and all. Yay or nay, I guess, is another kind of to go along with this. Do you think that there's a Vince or Triple H or anybody going, but we don't want to give it to the guy that left to go to AEW?
No. Well, to answer the first question in terms of like, will this affect people today? I think some people will be like pissed off or a little bit bemused about it at the start, but then they'll realize the money talks, and so they'll just, if they want to go, they'll want to go. I don't think this will actually have that much of a bearing. I think he could have had a very positive impact if he'd won.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think him losing has a demonstrably negative impact. It just means that it's basically the same as it was before. Like yeah, I'd say maybe an initial reluctance or feeling bad about it, but then you just forget about it and move on. In terms of in them doing it because the AW thing, like you'd say that maybe that's too petty, and I can understand the argument for that. But then I just thought, why did you just have Triple H beat Sting that time? Because you bought WCW over 10 years ago prior to that thing, yet you still couldn't have the WCW guy go over on the WWE guy because that's the story you decided to tell.
And it's such a bullshit excuse to be like, well, because we thought that Triple H needed to look strong, so that way when they did the Rock match next year, you mean Triple H still needed to look strong? Come on.
Especially when leaving that story, the plan was Taker and Sting. Didn't Sting need to look strong?
Yeah, so I don't buy into that. I think that that's the type of shit that people tell themselves to, it's like they're gaslighting themselves in some ways,
But in a way, it's like, yeah, again, it feels like conspiracy theory, like conspiracy theorist bullshit, and maybe it is just that. But could I completely say that I can't imagine a world where Vince McMahon tells Cody everything he wants to hear about it, and then gives him some good booking throughout the start of his time with the company, gives him the Royal Rumble win, and then all just for a big rug being pulled out from under him? Basically say, oh yeah, we fought the guy, come out next week, boy, and you're gonna be in polka dots instead. That kind of attitude.
We'll have you win, but we're going to show you what we planned on doing for your WrestleMania gear, and it's the Stardust outfit. And he's like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. Then they're like, well, then you're not winning. Like,
Yeah, can I say with 100% certainty that didn't happen? No, because there are some really weird things when it comes to just the world of professional wrestling in general, not just in WWE, but just overall. But yeah, it would be a hell of a stretch. I think if your next question is to do with changing of the guard at the top of the company, then I might have a bit more of a convincing answer for that one.
That's another one of them that I have. Remember, I said I had a bunch of them lined up. Yay or nay? Do you think that this was a call from Endeavor / maybe Vince, Nick Khan or whatever? Do you think it's a Triple H one? Because there's a part of me that does think if we're getting a fucking announcement that they sold to Endeavor, which we're not even unpacking that as much as we are. We've said before,
should have been. Yeah.
Like we've already said before, like we did not want them to sell to Saudi Arabia. So it's like, yeah, is it better than that? Yeah, but at the same time, I've never worked under the philosophy of things could be worse. Because in my mind, if you kick me in the balls and I'm sitting there, crunched over in pain, feeling awful, and you go, well, it could be worse. I could have chopped your arm off. I go, yeah, well, of course, motherfucker. But why'd you kick me in the balls? I don't think that ever is a good idea to be like, things could be worse, so you should be happy about it. No. I don't like the idea that they are selling. I think that this is going to be a lot of bad stuff. I think that they are going to bump up the pay-per-view model again. They're going to try to get $50 a pay-per-view. People are not going to buy it. People are going to be doing more of that. So I'm not looking forward to that. But I could see this potentially being another scenario of them being like, if we're buying the company or whatever, we want this guy. And then whether it's a couple days ago that plans changed or something,
So
you haven't heard anything or anything, right?
let me interrupt you there because Sean Rossap did report something regarding the details of the WrestleMania finish, and he says that there were people within WWE who began to defend the idea of Roman Reigns winning this past week, and there were some murmurs that he would win last week. Now, Fightful Select has confirmed that the plan for Reigns to emerge victorious was set, and several people were aware of it as of several weeks ago. We were not told when the talent was informed. We can confirm that the interference elements were not related to talent, refs, or ringside staff until today, and the involvement of many parties were previously unknown. Fightful Select asked WWE sources and a rep if McMahon was involved in the decision making, and they all claimed he wasn't. So, you guys are talking about the sale and the Endeavor thing. Here's my question. Endeavor doesn't do, this kind of program 52 weeks a year. Would things change? Would things change in your mind? If they paid Roman Reigns enough money to go, no motherfucker, every Raw, every SmackDown, until you drop that belt.
Would we change our perspectives? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like would you feel better if he was on TV every week?
No, because to be honest, one of the best. I know I said about this about like the fact the title wasn't on screen that often, but to be honest, one of the better things about, and I was one of the people that was okay with the way that Brock and Roman handled the thing is because like that makes them special attractions. So, but yeah, that doesn't change it because it doesn't change the story. The story was Cody should win. I don't even care if Cody was in every single week moving forward with the title belt. It just makes it Cody should win.
Story, yes.
And frankly, as I said before, Cody should have won, and Sammy should have won when Sammy was super hot, and Drew should have won when Drew was super hot, and they decided nope every single time. I think it's just fundamentally, and again, I don't know how much Endeavor know about all this stuff. Again, like we'll see one way or the other. Like let's say there's a guy who doesn't really know much about this stuff anyway, so but they clearly value the fact that Roman is a draw. And if they're coming into the company, as all the rumors seem to be predicted as of tomorrow, then it's basically we want a safe pair of hands to be through this transition period. And so Roman is your top draw, and Roman is positioned as like your top guy. And so we want him to be our top guy moving forward. We don't really want to risk things or potentially rock the boat by making Cody the champion. Maybe that'll be something we come back to in a couple of months' time. But for now, this is a transition period. Let's make sure that we have a very stable top order of the company.
So my question...
That's what I think.
You gotta repeat that, Rob. We lost you for a second.
My question then becomes, do we end up in a situation where okay, we have to pay a John Cena or, God forbid, a Brock Lesnar because we just want name value.
That's what they've always been doing. That too. Like,
No,
I
mean,
feel
like,
more comfortable with that than they do to build somebody to actually become a new star.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Like,
well, no, that's what's changes then. Like, it's not like those are the names they've been calling on for the last 10, 15 years. It's like,
correct,
that doesn't change.
I'm just wondering.
And they don't use, and they've never used any of those two to get anybody else over outside of potentially Roman. Like, what have they ever done for anybody else?
I'm just wondering how things go moving forward, because
the same as they've always done. They just keep using the same people at the top order over and over again. That's the thing. Is like the crazy discussion. It's like where do they go from here? They just do what they've always done, which is create content, and
I hate the word
occasionally, but just keep churning the same shit out, and people will still be buying it because this is, for most people, this is just what pro wrestling is, and like, people will continue to buy it, and they'll still continue to. They'll still continue to be perfectly fine. They'll complain and bitch and moan on Twitter for a couple of days, and then they'll just go back to the same old routine. And that's all they need. That's all they need for it, and make billions of dollars every single year, or however you want to refer to it. And then nothing really changes. Next year they'll bring Brock back in for another short WrestleMania match, and they can get Cena on board, and they'll see if they can get Dwayne in this time as well, and try and convince Stone Cold to put the boots on again.
I'm saying specifically to beat Roman. Like,
you mean that they would call in John Cena to beat Roman and then do that transition?
Yeah, can we get John Cena to be our guy then? Almost like a Saudi thing, but with not Saudi. You know what I mean? We just want the guys you have. Like,
the people from Endeavor would be like, we've heard of that John Cena guy. Why don't you get him to come in? That would probably be an interesting thing. Kind of like they would book a performer for the what's the halftime show for the Super Bowl, where it's like, well, can we get that Lady Gaga? The kids like the Lady Gaga, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure it out, because obviously they also own the UFC. So what if their idea is to get a UFC fight, one of their most popular UFC fighters to be the one that beats Roman?
Fuck me, if that's their idea.
Because remember, that's my guess too. Remember, we haven't talked about this. Endeavor supposedly is going to put UFC and WWE into one corporate entity, one division, which would merge UFC and WWE.
I think that they're just going to give it some kind of Alpha Entertainment name, where it's right.
I don't know if that means it merges their content, but it would at least put them under the same umbrella.
I would assume that it would just be let's just call it Alpha Entertainment because it's Vince's thing. Be Alpha Entertainment presents UFC, or Alpha Entertainment presents WWE WrestleMania. I don't think that they're going to change the WWE name, for instance. A lot of people are questioning. But then again, I don't know. I thought they were going to fucking have Cody Rhodes win this, and fuck me for going with logic.
I mean, you could get that. I mean, Tony, you can finally get your Cain Velasquez. God
damn it, guys! No.
Yeah, I was not hoping that would come in the way that would be. I do have a couple other questions to go along with this, the A&A type things, and set up some other things here. One of them being, do you think, I guess I'll word it this way. Actually, I'll go back to Frankie's question. He said, I just don't get why they can't have Roman lose the WWE title. Universal title is the long one. Yay or nay, do you think that there is a plan for them to be you can't beat Roman, but we really got a good story that we could do here with you winning the Royal Rumble and doing that match at WrestleMania and everything. And we promise something's going to happen where we're going to split those titles, and we'll give you the other one down the line. You'll win the title in 2023 or 2024, whatever it is, probably 2023. But you can't beat Roman, man. You can't beat Roman at WrestleMania. We'll give it to you with somebody else. Do you think that that's the plan, to split the titles and to do that?
Whatever it is, I'm going to be honest, I hope they do it as soon as... It needs to start as soon as tomorrow. Because otherwise, I have no faith. Like,
well, I'll just say, I mean, I don't know. I think you guys would agree with me. I think you guys in the chat would agree with me as well. If their plan is to do something like that, I don't think it is, by the way. But if their plan is like, we want you to win the Royal Rumble and you're going to fight Roman, but we can't have you beat Roman at WrestleMania, but we'll split the belts afterward and you can win the one after that. If they have him do that, nobody's going to fucking care.
Yeah, the whole thing is he had to beat Roman.
Yeah. Beating Roman for the unified titles is the thing that matters. If Roman goes, I mean, you could give this to somebody else. I don't fucking care about the WWE one. I just want a Universal. And then it's like, hey, let's have another tournament and whatever. And oh my God, look at that. Cody Rhodes won or something. People are going to go, couldn't you just fucking done that at Mania?
Yeah, like,
actually, most people would like see through it as the empty thing that it is, really, which is a case of, yeah, we still don't see our top guy because Roman's around, but we'll give you this trinket which suggests you're a world champion, even though you're not really the world champion.
I mean, let's talk about how hurt.
And then we can revisit this in our champion versus champion Survivor Series thing. Oh, that bloody feud. Remember, he never beat Roman for that, and you know. The story is not done. Fuck you with that.
Yeah.
Another question I got, though, to kind of piggyback off of that. I think it was guest 5. I'm sorry if I don't remember. It might have been Josh in the chat. Somebody had said earlier, yay or nay. I'm going nay. Do you think that the reason why is because of the Seth Rollins thing? Do you think that it's like, hey, we don't, punishment kind of thing? I don't think so either.
Nah.
I also, for that matter, do not think that their plan is because they want Seth Rollins to beat Roman for it.
No, it's stupid. If they do that, they just like don't know what they're thinking with that regard. No offense to Seth Rollins, but like, he's been there for a long time. He's just like, I'm not going to say it's the same as the equivalent of like just anybody that's been to the company for that long winning the title, but it's it won't have the same impact with people.
Here's what I'll say. I think we're in a very unique time where, man, people really want to see something good happen. And for example, like if you just said tomorrow night on Raw, Roman decides, I've decided that the Universal title is the only title that matters. And then Cody goes, well, this one is the one with the history, so I want to fight you for this tonight. And then Cody wins tomorrow. Like how pissed off would people be if Cody won the title tomorrow on Raw? Like how upset would people be if you couldn't just do that on WrestleMania? Like no matter what they do here, they're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna rationalize by saying, "Hey, we tell stories here. Story's not over."
The story we wanted to tell is that Roman Reigns is the most dominant champion, and isn't that interesting? Don't we have the most? You can't be the most dominant champion if you don't win matches like this, and sometimes the good guys don't win, and it's like, sometimes the good guys don't win, but hey, I do kind of want the story to have a logical ending. I don't just. You mentioned Game of Thrones earlier. I'm not a big fan of the swords and sandals type genre in the begin with, and I was never probably going to get into Game of Thrones to begin with, but I also was not a fan of the show, knowing from other people that it seemed like that and The Walking Dead, which I'm not a fan of either. It kind of seemed like the whole point of the show was tune in because you don't know if your favorite character is going to die. And that's it.
There, yeah. At least Walking Dead got there, yeah.
Which, if I wanted to watch that, then I would just, I don't know, play a game where I'm fighting zombies and then I die or something. Like, that's not my type of entertainment in that way. I don't watch the James Bond movies to have James Bond die at the end. I don't. Well,
you must have fucking hated the last one.
Well, if you want to check out the review to a kill on that one, you'll understand why I fucking hated that. But, I don't want everything to be necessarily a Lifetime movie or a Hallmark movie where it all has to be wrapped up in exactly the same way. You can have tragedies and you can have things end in a way that it's like, man, that's ambiguous, or there's great stories. Some of my absolute favorite movies of all time end in complete tragedy. I mean, look at the fucking Godfather, for instance. Godfather is not a happy movie. All three of them are not happy movies. But then you get a Shawshank, and I gotta ask this question too, because this is a good thing with it. I mean, our fandom levels are definitely struggling right now. Does Roman Reigns lose steam from this? Do people just go, I don't fucking care now because there's not another story that I'm invested in, and now I'm back around again to the previous version of Roman, which was, all right, that's your guy, and you're sacrificing everything for him, and now I'm actually, I don't enjoy this character anymore. Do you think that we're going to get a lot of that?
It depends on, because thinking about the things I've watched this weekend, and as some of the tells that we might have been given, is that Ariel Helwani was asked Roman point blank, so are you taking time off? And he said, no. I have a great deal, but I have no plans on taking any time off. Maybe the fact that he wasn't like, we'll see, you know what I mean? Maybe the fact that he bluntly said no, because I do think he loses steam from this. If they don't, they have one more chance, I would say, with the Raw after Mania, because everybody is predisposed to know if you don't do anything at the Raw after Mania, by the next week it's the same loop, and now we're waiting for like a SummerSlam or something. If you don't do anything, he's gonna lose steam, because it's gonna just feel like, whatever, there's nobody good enough to beat him. But we mentioned a lot on the road to Mania. We haven't talked about it a lot tonight. How are you feeling about Cody Rhodes? Is Cody Rhodes in Lex Luger territory for you?
That's a follow-up that I was going to go with for the next one. Yeah, like, what does Cody do? How do you follow up with this and actually make it to where people give a shit? Because the investment is not there anymore. People are going to be like, you won the fucking Royal Rumble. You were in the main event of WrestleMania. You had everything go. You had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn helping you out. Now, you win the fucking United States title. I don't give a shit. What do you do with Cody? That, like, where do you go from here? Actually, that's a good way to combine the two of them. Where do you go from here with either Roman or Cody? What do you guys think?
I don't know.
They're going to turn Cody heel. Yep. I feel like, because there was this the thing that again, I can't remember who tweeted it, because I was just like scrolling through Twitter afterwards, just seeing the immediate reactions, and I think that a reference to the fact that there was a spot where Cody stares out into the crowd looking at a sign which says it's basically like just saying that, it's
during his entrance or something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
During his entrance, and you could. It was a clear enough shot that you can't turn him on that.
Yeah, I think that they'll go down that route, because it will essentially just become frustrated about the fact that he wasn't able to do it on his own. Maybe like you take him off TV for a little while and he comes back and he just puts up, I don't know, Sammy or Kevin or whoever and stuff like that, and you just keep him away from Roman for a while.
That would be depressing.
I can see that being the case.
That would be really depressing.
I think either one. Yeah, I think either way, like, even if you keep him babyface, he's got to come out the next night after on the show and basically, I mean, what do you say if you're saying babyface? You basically say, I just enough on the night. I know obviously there was like interference which cost him, but it's a case of he wouldn't say that he just, because if he comes out and says like I got screwed out of this, that makes him petulant and whiny.
He, though? I mean, but it. Like, why?
But people read it that way. That like
fucking why? Can I ask the question too? Why? Why shouldn't he come out on Raw and go, I want a cage match with Roman Reigns, no interference. I want give me something. You clearly replayed it 5 times. I had him beat. Give me something. Like, why? And then that shouldn't be seen as petulance. It's being seen as, hey, I'm not going to take this lying down because that's what the good guys do. That's a lot of the reason why these fucking cynics really believe, good guys shouldn't overcome. Because we are predetermined to saying good guys are just fucking doormats. Cody Rhodes should absolutely say, absolutely not. You are not leaving California without giving me another shot at the WWE title.
Yeah,
that would be what I
that's
do.
the only. I mean, that's the only way that I think that you could ever like book your way out of this and still come up with a somewhat satisfying conclusion. Again, I don't think that you need to go this convoluted when you had something like as surefire as this on like your biggest show of the year.
And that also that you wouldn't
basically
do it for the Raw after, that you wouldn't have it be like somebody comes out, a referee, and goes, no, we have to restart the match or something at Mania, you know?
Well, yeah. What I'd basically do is after Mania, just basically like say that I've just handed the reins of the company after this thing, and basically say, what do you do after this point? Is you have Cody come out on the first bit on the episode of Raw and basically hold the show hostage. He gets a match with Roman again, and basically you just do things like tons of security come out. He's just wiping everyone out. He's like trying to take control of the monitors or the production truck or anything like that. You build the whole show around the fact that Cody is going to destroy this show. Like have him say like, I'll go back to AEW, say things along those lines, just get super like animated to just the point where yeah, they just have to force Roman out to defend it against him in some kind of like stipulation where like the bloodline are banned from ringside, then you have Cody get the victory there. At least that can build up some buzz, and obviously the idea that more people will, even though this is the biggest show of the year, more people won't be watching Raw than WrestleMania. So there's a chance they'll have a good like seismic effect. But yeah, as I say, that's just a really overcomplicated way of just doing something which you should have just done, which is just give Cody the title. It's not hard. That's the easy choice. Take the easy road every now and again.
I'll be pissed if we find out that like that they got this, they inked this deal with Backlash to be in Puerto Rico for a paid show, and it ended up being like, can't you do the Cody win then? And if they end up being like, well, but if we tell a story at Mania that he loses, but he loses because of cheating or whatever, then we have him win a couple weeks later, then people will just be okay with it. I'm going to be pissed if that's going to be the case.
That's too close to, hey, we're going to put Roman and Brock in a cage in Saudi Arabia, and then like it just the flip thing where Brock loses because he hit the ground for, Brock wins because Roman speared him and he happened to hit the ground first.
They do that once in a while, though. I mean, look at what happened with Ronda and Charlotte last year. It was like, well, we're not going to do the title change at Mania because gotcha. And then they go a couple weeks later, they go Backlash and go. But anyway, I mean, we're going to give the it's like, fucker, you didn't.
I would argue that this is different. But now this is me going full fantasy here, but I do have to wonder, ignoring what we would know about McMahon retaining a executive chairman position, if their plan is to announce a sale on Monday, and after 20, 30 years, whatever it's been, saying the McMahon era screws over the audience, you have just, hey, we're in a new era, new management, and Cody wins the belt because we're no longer in the old era. This is a new WWE where McMahon is no longer the majority owner.
Well, that's bullshit. If you were to do that, I mean, like, I'd say I don't think that's the completely out of the question thing. But then you're basically saying you shouldn't be presenting your program scripted. It's not like you like any other TV show. So like, oh, we got new writers. So that thing that you didn't like in the other one, we're gonna wink, wink. We're changing all of that. Like the person just stands in front of the camera and says, "Hey, we're changing that decision."
I've never liked this. But this is something they tend to do sometimes.
Do you guys ever watch the show Community?
Sometimes.
What about you, Callum? Did you ever see it?
I've never seen it. No, never seen it.
In the chats, let me know if this is a reference that you will already get from me bringing up Community. But in my personal opinion, the first season's great, second season's great, whatever. But Dan Harmon, the guy who was the creator and head writer and everything, he had to leave the show because he had like a whole controversy with him, like kind of like harassing somebody that was like another writer and all. I don't remember exactly what it was. So allegedly, blah, 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 whatever the fuck. I don't know. Cover my ass when it comes to that stuff. Fuck you. You know what I'm talking about. Point being, they had other writers in control of one of the seasons of it, and it ended up like they did like a lot more wacky ideas, and people weren't kind of written the same way and all. And eventually Dan Harmon comes back to the show, and they very quickly did a thing where they're like, oh, like we were acting really weird recently, right? And they're like, oh, you mean when that gas leak was happening in the college? And they're like, yeah, that gas leak year. So they're making fun of the idea of like, oh, the reason why we're acting so stupid with those other writers was that there was a gas leak on the campus, and that's why we were all acting like fucking idiots and all. Like if they do that with Endeavor and they end up being like, you know, hey, now that we're in charge, things are going to be better, and everybody's, you know, the referees understand what the hell they're doing now, and all. Like I'm going to be like, this is the most batshit fucking crazy stuff that we've seen.
Thing is, I can imagine it because they tend to do that thing where they go, oh, but you're in on it, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I can see it. I hope not, but I can see it.
Another question I got here. Does this help or hurt Roman in the long run? Like we were all talking about this before. I mean, like he built a Hall of Fame career well before this, but this was like his reign. Do you think that this is going to now tarnish it, where it's going to be like, yeah, you know what? Now we're fucking annoyed about it or whatever, and it's not as good, and everybody's going to go back into he didn't defend it all that much and all? Or do you think that this is going to be something that in the long run, people are going to look at it and go, he even beat Cody at WrestleMania. Like this guy just beat everybody, and that's fantastic. Yeah. I think this hurts.
I think hindsight will be kind to Roman, but much like John Cena during his strongest years, where it just became, fuck this dude, I think we're going to be there full throttle with Roman. But I think hindsight will be kinder.
I think fundamentally WWE writes to history, so I don't think long-term people will look back on it and think that it was bad. I think they'll look at it as the way they've been presenting it as like a legendary title reign, which in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't. But I think that, yeah, no, in the short term, no, I don't even think that, because there's too many people that stan Roman, and I don't think that that's going to change. Again, it's just the general vibe of, I think the vast majority of the WWE audience is a bunch of sheep that just goes along with whatever they've been told to like. So I don't think that's going to change things too much.
Do you guys think that this hurts Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
No, they got the job done. They didn't get the job done here. They didn't obviously help Cody get the victory, but yeah, I think that they're fine in terms of the tag team scene. Their problem with the tag team scene is the fact that there's no one else in the tag team division that's built up enough to maintain their momentum.
I think it hurts them. I do.
I think so too, because I think people can't be happy about this because they're going to be like,
you can't have and they're all out on the Raw after Mania with the belts because they did it because they just decided not to pull the trigger.
It's like if you were to have, say, well, no, I won't use that analogy. I won't go back to Star Wars, but suddenly Palpatine came back, that kind of thing. If Roman comes out on the Monday Night Raw, that's going to happen tonight, and they end up being like, hey, let's start off with Roman because, man, he's going to get so much fucking booze, and this is going to be so great and all. Like, when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out, they're going to be like, yeah, isn't it great that we won? And people are going to be like, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, it is, but now what? And then Jimmy and Jay are going to be like, we're so glad that we could help Roman. Sucks that we don't have our titles.
I think it makes them look worse too, because now they just look even more subservient and not as elite. Because, pardon the pun, because they lost and they were perfectly fine with just making sure Roman didn't.
Since they went with this Roman win, now I'm also even thinking they might just give the belts back to Jimmy and Jay. Like, I don't necessarily think that is going to be the thing that happens, but I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't shock me because they went with this. So if they're like, we want to give you that win, but we can just switch it back up, and we like that whole bloodline holding all the belts type thing,
if Raw tomorrow ended with Jimmy and Jay holding the tag belts again and Roman, God forbid Roman not even being there. It's a hard one to defend, man.
So I got one more question out of this before we get into the fantasy league stuff. And it's a phrase we've used before here. It's maybe not the best one to use on this night. Gun to your head. Who beats Roman and when?
Gun to my head.
Go
ahead again.
Honestly, shoot me. I don't want to answer it.
Well, you talk about it.
Yeah. That would be the situation. Like, gun to my head, who's beating Roman? There's no answer. I'm bored. I don't care. Like, just shoot me. It's done.
Do you think that they even have an answer? Or do you think that they were just looking at this as like, no, we wanted him to retain, and Ted's suggesting Gunther Money in the Bank in the UK?
No, I think...
Don't hold your breath. That would be too... The fans would be too happy for that.
I think it's going to be Cody in the Garden.
And when is this Garden show you were saying? Just like whenever? Or yeah.
In July. And I think that it'll be Cody in the Garden, and that they're all probably convincing themselves, oh, but it's a setback because the good guy can't win on the first try. It's Rocky 3.
You know what though? If they do the fucking Rocky 3 thing, it's like, yeah, that's Rocky 3. Rocky 1, it was a draw, essentially, and then he won the second one, and that's you don't make this a draw in that way, and you don't, you know. If I could change, you could change, then WWE proves that it won't change. But
again, I think WWE is obsessed with thinking that they're these masterful storytellers, and maybe they've sabotaged their greatest story by having it run onto them. I'll leave you with this. How I Met Your Mother. That's all I had to say, and he's laughing. Look, it's been 10 years. It's been 9 years. It'll be 10 years next year. We'll do something. But it ends with Ted asking his kids for permission to date the girl he was after from season 1, episode 1. And because it went on for 9 years, people just went, are you fucking kidding me? All of that just to get back to Robin. And I think we're at that stage now, where no matter who beats Roman, no matter when, it's going to be, are you fucking kidding me? You passed up you added all this extra bullshit just to get to this.
Gun to my head, who beats Roman and when? I mean, a shout out to Soul Brother number 5 in the chat saying if Roman does make it past Saudi as the champ, he could see Roman losing to Orton for like a legend killer thing. If I had to go with my, like, what I think that they are doing at this point, which I don't put a whole lot of faith in it anymore at this point, because I like to think, and I think everybody that knows me well enough, you guys listening, and obviously friends and family and stuff, I like to think I'm fucking logical, if like not to a fault, and one of the most potentially logical people that you could ever meet in your life. Sometimes it makes it really hard for me to put myself in somebody else's shoes that they do not think that way, or at least what I think is logic. So in my mind, what I would go with, of course, sometimes is the complete opposite of what WWE does. So it's hard for me to predict that sometimes. And this is in a completely illogical scenario. I was like, they have to go with Dusty, with Cody winning, because the whole Dusty story. At this point, that throws everything out the window. So there is a good part of me that goes, who do I think is going to beat Roman? Nobody. I think that Roman is going to vacate the title, and that they're going to go, wow, he was such a great champion, he didn't even get beaten. That is a part of me, to be honest. But
I do think we're running the risk of injury.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid his leukemia comes back.
And I'm not interested, by the way, in an entire year more of maybe he'll pop up at SummerSlam and maybe every 5 weeks he'll cut a promo on SmackDown about, Bemidji, acknowledge me, and whatever. I kind of don't want to see the same thing again all over that. I mean, that was the whole build. It set up that and then ended up being whatever. But if I have to pick somebody that actually beats Roman instead of him just like vacating it because of an injury or something that comes down to something that's not in their control entirely, ignoring the Endeavor stuff, maybe they come in and they do want some UFC guy. Maybe they've got this plan, maybe whatever. I would think their plan is they want him to hold it until Mania 40. And they're just going to take another year of you only need to pop up every once in a while and we can stretch it out. We can give you the Mania 40 thing. And that way you'll do something that nobody's ever done before, even more so. You'll go into 4 WrestleManias and doing all this. And
he's already done something nobody's ever done.
With the 3 of them. Yeah. But I mean, he doesn't need to do a lot of that stuff. And I honestly think that their plan right now is that they do not have a plan. I do not think that they have anybody in mind that they want to beat Roman. And that this Cody Rhodes thing was the best possible story that they could tell because it's a story. And the way that Triple H phrased that with the whole, there's another chapter and, we're still moving on and all. I think in their minds, that's the end of the Cody Rhodes chapter. But the real story here is the Roman Reigns one. And we're not ready to tell the end of that story yet. So just like a TV show like The Simpsons doesn't have an end to it and should have arguably ended over half of the show's length ago, because the last good season was like season 11, 12, along those lines. I don't think that Cody's winning at WrestleMania 40. I don't think that The Rock is winning at WrestleMania 40. At this point, I doubt that The Rock's even fighting Roman at WrestleMania 40. I don't think that they have a plan for WrestleMania 40. And I think that the way that they planned out WrestleMania this year proves that they might not have a plan for WrestleMania 40 until 3 or 4 days before WrestleMania 40. I don't think that they care. I think in their mind, they are so invested in this Roman Reigns definitive. We've put all these years into him being the top guy and all. We only care about that to a point that why would anybody care who beats him? The story is Roman as the champion. Aren't you guys all just super into that? Fuck you if you're not. I think that that's their philosophy. So, gun to my head, who beats Roman and when? Whoever they decide at the last minute at WrestleMania 40 that they can get. And that could very easily, and I'm not even being facetious here, that could very easily be somebody who does not deserve that and is just like, I mean, maybe we've
decided it's time, so it's gonna be Braun Strowman.
Like anything like that, yeah. Like we've decided it's time. Who do we have that we can put the belt on? Not who do we have that can beat Roman? I think now, and then they look at the crowd and they go, I don't know, I'm gonna give it to fucking AJ or something, like, you know what I mean? Like they just kind of do that. Because I'm kind of past the point of trying to care and give the benefit of the doubt and all. I honestly do not think that they care as much as the fans do.
You hit on something really good there where you said it's the Roman Reigns story. So they don't really care who faces him. And that's very interesting. I wonder if they just look at it like that. Or it's just the Roman Reigns show. Yeah,
it's the Roman Reigns story of his championship. And to have good challengers is the same as, not to just plug back for the Batman at Nighttime story, but it's like, that's a Bruce Wayne story. I've said it from the very beginning of it. Fucking love the Joker. And you got to have good villains. And in their mind, it's like, well, you got to have good heroes for this villain. but all we're telling is the Roman story. I do not think that Cody Rhodes beats him for the championship.
I'll stick to my optimism and say that they've just convinced themselves that
That the Madison Square Garden thing,
and that it gets you your gotcha moment, and they feel good about that. But I hope that I do have to watch Raw for my job. I hope that whatever happens with Endeavor by the time I wake up, I'm sure, is easy enough to understand that it doesn't change too many things. I hope that Raw gives me something, some shred of a nugget of hope. And I was going to say this for the wrap up, but I'll say it here. Thank you guys. I love you guys because we've laughed, we've bitched, we've moaned, and it was exactly what was needed.
Well, Callum, you've been doing some spreadsheet stuff today.
Yes, I have.
Fill us in on some stuff with that fantasy league.
So yeah, fantasy league is over, and yeah, the final points have now been tallied. I've done that. I managed to do that in the time we've been talking. Picking up the final points for WrestleMania Night 2, and that brings the season to a close.
And the winner's Roman Reigns. So, fuck you!
Yeah, he managed to sneak in at the last minute and just win. Yeah. So I think what we need to bring up is that there were points scored, but there are also a significant number of points lost due to penalty points. Penalty points were handed out in this way: every wrestler who did not appear for at least 20 weeks in the on the shows, so if they appeared like 19 weeks, 18 weeks, anything along those lines, would get a -10 score. Anyone who appeared less than 10 weeks on the shows, like in general, like didn't make an appearance for at least 10 weeks, would get a -20, and anyone who was released from their contract would get a -25. So tallied all of that stuff up, and we have the final standings. So in third place, as has been the case probably since the beginning.
Shit.
Because Rob scored, well, he scored, if without the penalties, 2,514 points. He then got the most penalty points with -360.
Yeah, thanks, Roman. Thanks, John. Thanks, Sasha.
I think I had Sasha.
Roman didn't. Yeah. Tony did that. Sasha.
I think I had
Roman
Sasha and Naomi.
Yeah. Roman didn't get you any penalty points. Your penalty points were primarily taken up by the names Gable Steveson, R-Truth, Ariana Grace, Sloane Jacobs,
why would I
Big
do
E,
that?
John Cena, Rick Boogs, Shelton Benjamin, Shanky, Guru Raj.
Why did I think Shanky?
Well, you had to pick people. We were picking everybody, remember?
Oh, that's right. At some point, I just tried to pick all the interviews.
Kato and Boa. Yeah. You didn't actually have a single person released, but you had loads of people that did not make many appearances. So, so that ends up with your final score being 2,154.
Next year, I'm coming for that.
And then we get in the meat of the matter. So the position 1 and position 2 ended up being separated by, considering like how things kind of fluctuate and like points being scored, it wasn't that far apart in the grand scheme of things. So
not quite as tight as past 2 years, right?
Yeah. Top 2 were separated by, I'm just counting up here, 150 points. It's not a massive in the grand scheme of things. It feels big, but it's not like there were a lot of changes. Second place with a freestanding score of 3,041 was Tony. He unfortunately suffered with the releases of both Sasha Banks, Naomi, Haaland, Draco Anthony, and Sarai.
Yeah, fuck all you people. I thought that Sasha Banks and Naomi thing was a guarantee lots of points.
Yeah. You also had a couple of people that did not appear very often. The main one of that, which was someone that you probably would expect a lot of points from, was Randy Orton.
Yep. God damn it, Viper.
And,
come on, man.
The other one was Amari Miller. So yeah, I got a -20 for that as well. It was the lowest number. You got the lowest number of penalty points, but which almost helped you out quite a bit, because then I managed to. Your overall final score was 2,806. I finished, in terms of just pure points, 3,226. Suffered due to the releases of Mandy Rose, which was comes offset by the fact that she did pick up a lot of points prior to that, so I kind of benefited in that regard. Also losing Malcolm Bivens, Persia Pirotta, Bodie Hayward, Erica Yang, and Ru Feng during this time. And also had a few people that just didn't appear very often. Actually, there was Robert Roode, Candice LeRae, and Candice LeRae. Candice was fine, actually. She only got a -10, but Dante Chen and Ulysses Leon didn't appear very often because of her injuries. But it meant that I got a -270 point penalty, finished on 2,956 points. So yeah, I am the victor for this year's Fantasy League.
Congrats.
In terms of, yeah, thank you very much.
In
terms of next year's
robbed of points.
Yeah, and speaking of, well, in terms of like the lineup for next year, I haven't actually finalized. I have ideas for what's, because I always try and like mix up the Fantasy League every now and again. So I have a plan in place in order to evolve it a little bit more this time around. But in terms of the prediction contest for WrestleMania, it ended up with Rob and Tony tying with the same number of predictions correct. Rob had a total of 9 predictions correct, as well as Tony. Tony had 5 right night 1 and 4 right night 2. Rob had 6 right night 1, only 3 right night 2. And so it came down to the tiebreaker main event time, which went to Tony. As the checking Wikipedia, the main event went for around about 34 minutes and 50 seconds. Tony predicted 35 minutes 14. So a lot closer.
He went
than
over.
Rob's
Boo, boo,
26 42.
boo. Price is Right rules. I win.
Yeah. So that means Tony will get the first pick of the future draft that we do to determine the next Fantasy League one, which will be around about WrestleMania. Say WrestleMania Backlash, around about Backlash time.
I wonder if I should pick fucking Roman.
That's one of the interesting things, really, because obviously you get, well, at least from the points that we were going for this time, or the rules in place, you only really picked up extra points if you won titles.
Yeah.
So no one ever got the World Championship points really out of Roman. He just kept holding the title. So I wonder if that will ever change for next year. But yeah, that's the Fantasy League, and it will be back in some form or another next year, hopefully.
If we're back.
Yeah. I was going to caveat it with that. But as long as we're here, it will be here.
Yeah. It depends on how much more horseshit we can deal with when it comes to doing that. I said before, I have my times where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to watch this anymore. And, when it comes to the job type of it, where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do that job anymore. And then when it comes to things like this, and I go, oh man, you know how they say, like, do what you love? And I love doing a lot of this stuff. And obviously we have so much fun when we go on these podcasts, and we're chatting up with everybody in the live chat right now and all. And we do things like the mock drafts and all. I have so much fun doing those things. So as long as that keeps still being a passion, then that's a thing. But man, it's getting harder and harder to justify watching some of these shows and all. Across the board too. I mean, like I said before, like I find a lot of AEW shows to just kind of be a chore to watch, just because sometimes it's not my style, and I don't have that thing that Callum has where it's like, yeah, I might not watch WWE, but I'm going to get more into New Japan or get more into Stardom or GCW or MLW or any of these other kind of non-WWE promotions. I'm pretty much like, all right, I like AEW and I like WWE, but I don't like them when I don't like them. And goddamn it, stuck with me things I don't like. I stopped watching wrestling for a couple of years, for 6.5 years at one point. Who knows? I've been now watching wrestling and doing this for a job I started doing that in like 2007 or so. So, it's a while. In any case, that's WrestleMania 39. It is one half of a great, great show. one half of God fucking damn it. And I will say I am not at all really interested in watching Raw tomorrow night. I was hoping that I'd be like, man, I'm so excited for this, but twofold. If this would have been a bad pay-per-view and it wouldn't have been WrestleMania, we would have just continued on, and it would have just been like, you know, it sucked when they did I don't know, Payback or whatever you would call it. The fact that it's Mania, that always means more. The fact that it ends the way that this ended, that means more on top of that. But to be honest, it's also beating me down about this whole sale thing. And the part of me that should be like, I'm so excited to, like, I'm so intrigued, maybe not excited's the word, but like, I'm so interested to see how they plan on following this up, because maybe they've got some trick up their sleeve, and who knows what's going to happen if they announce that they sold and all this, like that kind of must-see TV thing. It is not hitting me that way. Instead, this is very much feeling to me, to call back to the Star Wars thing, because that is something that's a thing. I have not liked Star Wars as much since The Force Awakens came out. That's why you don't see so much Star Wars stuff on Fanboys Anonymous, because I don't fucking like watching it anymore. I've not checked out more than the first 1.5 episodes of The Mandalorian this season, and The Mandalorian's been the only thing Star Wars related that I've actually been enjoying since this new regime. So when you give me enough bad stuff, it doesn't make me go, yeah, I'm still a fan though, or whatever. We've gotten more bad Terminator movies than we've had good ones, despite the fact that being my favorite movie of all time, T2. And if Raw tomorrow night comes on and they end up sucking, first off, I might not watch it live. I might just record it and skip through and see if there's any big reactions or anything. I don't know.
You can message me and I'll allow it.
Yeah, I might need to have somebody else do it like that, to just be like, you know, hey, you might want to skip through this because it's a bad episode or something. If it's a good episode and they can figure out some way to redeem this, then holy shit, I don't know how they pull off a miracle. But I am fully expecting the Raw after WrestleMania to be lackluster, uneventful, and to reiterate a lot of the negatives rather than to give me a positive going forward. I am not looking forward to Raw. I don't know as far as that much that means for the website. I don't know what that means going forward. Not going to tell you guys like, oh, I'm done fucking watching wrestling and be like, you know, that's a guarantee. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling right now. So if you want to support Smark Out Moment and make sure that I continue to do at least the other stuff, even if I stop watching for a little bit and we could do just all retrospective things and everything, then of course hit up the Patreon, click on the join button on YouTube and click the little thanks button. Thank you so much again to everybody who did the super chats on here for this. I think we've made more on this than we've done for any other one, maybe even all the other ones combined. I don't even know. So major thank you for that. That's the type of thing that makes me go, okay, maybe I will keep doing this if you guys are supporting things. It's a morale boost like there is no other. So
clearly you just want to support our anger, and that's
it's not healthy for me.
I'm not above cashing in on that, so please.
I learned a lesson in December that I've got really bad blood pressure. So I don't know if me being angry is a good thing. I'd like dangerously really bad blood pressure. Like I might have to go on blood pressure medicine. So
is that a lesson or is, you know, are you just ignoring all the signs?
Well, if you don't go to the doctor for a bunch of years,
that's what I mean.
Then they can't tell you that you've got this stuff. Yeah, I've been taking fish oil since then. I don't know. Maybe that fucking helps. But if I try to go for my pulse right now, I don't think I would like what I would be feeling. Point being, though, the more support that you guys give us, the more chances it is that we just continue to keep doing things. And the more that WWE gives us that is good, then the more likelihood that we are going to do that stuff as well, because good things are good. You guys are good. My co-hosts here, they're not good. They're great. Love these guys. Another Mania season's down. It sucks it has to go down this way. But if you want to follow everything that's happening all over the place, like for instance, over on Fanboys Anonymous, where good things are good, And I love a lot of the things that I can do over there. Go to fanboysanonymous.com, check out the YouTube channel, hit up the Patreon for that, follow Facebook and Twitter. Definitely check out the Blueprint Project. I am having so much fun diving deep into some of these characters and writing them the way that they should be written and trying to do things that would make fans happy, because that's what you should do as a writer. So the Batman, a nighttime story is happening. I'm going to get back to that and try to figure out chapter 3 very soon and put that up and tell you some of the travels of Bruce Wayne. And of course, everything that you find on the link tree of anthonymango.com, like my personal Facebook and Twitter accounts, which I think today or tomorrow, I think I'm supposed to be losing my Twitter verification. So, hey, fuck you for that too, if that's the case. But, follow all those things and check out everything under a mango tree. And I will see you when I see you, but make sure you're also following Rob and Callum.
Yep, you can follow me and at Dude Felice everywhere. And perhaps it's more important right now that you follow Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp and all the great stuff at Fightful Select. Because no matter how crappy the industry is, I promise Sean and Jeremy, Colin, and the whole team there will give you their all. And I will as well. I don't know, I'm talking, I wouldn't be there. But I'll do this until they just suck every bit of care that I have left out of me. So follow me there. Follow me at Dude Felice. Follow me. Follow my stuff on WrestleZone. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. But you know what? You're supposed to be checking out Callum Wiggins.
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Fantasy League is over for tonight. It will be back in some form or another, hopefully soon. So be following that. You can see the final standings up until then that we just ran through. You can just see them set up on the website up until that point. And then, if we do resume with it, then you'll know the rules of it, the new format coming soon. In the meantime, there's also the Power Rankings. Cody won't be on it, tell you that much. So you can check that out every single week. Next Saturday will be the first of the 2023-2024 season. So tune in for that one. And yeah, that's it from me.
Alrighty, everybody. That is it for us for this. Who knows what else going forward. I hate the doom and gloom, but it's, hey, it is what it is. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for all your support. And thank you in the future for tuning in to whatever we might be bringing you next. Current game plan was for us to do Fantasy Booking WrestleMania 40. But that was when I thought that we were going to be super energetic and happy about this, where we'd be like, hey, man, like, where would you like to see Cody Rhodes' title reign go? And what would you like to see this title reign? And how great would you follow this up? And all that good stuff. I don't know if we're going to have the passion to quite do that now, to be like, how would you fix this fucking mess? Maybe we end up doing that. I don't know.
Even with the road to WrestleMania, I still think by the time we get to January, Bray Wyatt has been the Royal Rumble. I still think it's him. And I am more convinced now than ever that it just doesn't matter either way. So now I really think it's him.
Well, based off of what he's done in the past couple of weeks, you're not selling me on enjoying the next year. Woof. Anyway, we're at the 3-hour mark. So that's going to do us in for this, everybody. Thank you again, as always. And we will see you next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment. And we are being counted out.